right? Like I could be literally thinking about shooting myself and then go to this event like, oh yeah, how you guys doing? Oh, this is great, right? No one could see it on me. I'm not gonna talk about my feelings with a bunch of guys, right? Like, I'd rather be naked around them than talk about my feelings. That makes no sense. I think people can relate too. I always thought nothing was wrong with me until I told my story out loud for the first time at Freedom Session, and I'm like crying, and I'm like, what's wrong with me? It was around that time where I started to become sexually abused at a young age, which lasted for like 5 years. It was just ongoing. Like, what? And he goes, so there is that chance that you might not make it to 30 or even a little bit past 30. My parents don't even know. So if they literally listen to this, all of them would be like, what the hell? This happened, right? Even my sister wouldn't even know. Nobody knew. Father, he wasn't a great father, but you as a father are what I need. And I would continuously pray that. And it wasn't until the very end of Freedom Sessions that I had a first dream that brought me to tears, and I woke up crying. That night, when everyone went to bed, I remember grabbing a knife from the kitchen. It was like 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock. It was really late. Everyone was sleeping. And I remember walking to his door with the knife.
Hey guys, Kyle here. Before we get into this one, a quick heads up. This one gets real. Nick shares some graphic details about the abuse he went through as a kid, including sexual abuse. Later on, we talk about a season where he was suicidal. And so viewer discretion is strongly advised. If you get kids in the car, this probably isn't one for them. So I went back and forth on whether to even keep some of this in. It's heavy, but I talked it over with Nick and we both landed on the same spot. This is real life, and cleaning it up for the podcast does a disservice to anyone out there carrying something similar and never saying it out loud. So we kept it in. One more thing, if it gets hard to listen to, I get it, but don't stop halfway through. That's my encouragement to you guys. The back half of this conversation has so much hope in it. Where Nick's at now, what forgiveness actually did for him, what his relationship is with his dad. And it's worth every minute it takes to get there. So let's get into it. Welcome back to another episode of The Briefcase in the Barn, a non-kids version.
Yeah. Would it still be Briefcase in the Barn?
Oh, sorry. I'm going to redo that. Okay. Welcome back to the Furiously Curious Show.
There we go.
I got Nick Zemora here. And he was telling me before we got started that today's episode is not for kids.
Yeah.
So if you got kids listening, probably not a good idea. But I know Nick from Freedom Session. I think you were in a different group than me. I actually didn't know you when we did it the first year.
No, we didn't know each other.
Or when was the first year?
So it would have been 2024.
Oh yeah, that was actually one of my last years I did it. Yeah.
Yeah, so that was your last time. You did that with Rocky.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then I remember the only reason I knew of you is because I had Trevor in my group.
Yes.
And I guess, is he your...
Just a friend.
A friend, okay.
Yeah, he was in my group the first year before that.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So he's my facilitator.
Yeah.
And he was like, oh, you guys can watch my story, my whole life story. I did it on Kyle's podcast. And I was like, who's Kyle? And he's like, oh, it's that guy in that group. Mm-hmm. And I was like, what podcast? Because I just like listening to podcasts. And so he sends it to us and I listened to it all. And I was like, oh, wow. I mean, in that podcast, you literally were advertising about your coaching. Mm. And I was like, maybe I could use that. Right, just because I'm so scattered, and so I think that's how we connected.
Yeah,
from then.
Yeah, and I remember that call pretty distinctly because basically you told me you had no issues at all, and you were at Freedom Session because you had no issues.
Yeah,
and,
which we'll get into that. Yeah.
Yes, because a couple of months after that, you did your testimony in the Freedom Session ending night, and I was like, oh, there's more to this. So yeah. So you reached out. It's been a couple of years since then. So you reached out a couple weeks ago, and we know each other fairly well through church. And our families hang out, but you said you're ready to share your story, and with the goal, maybe you can speak to that. Why now?
So I mean, after Freedom Sessions, I know we usually tell our stories at the very end, right? And Trevor was like, Nick, you should tell your story on Kyle's podcast, and I was like, I'm not going to like impede and be like, hey Kyle, can I tell my story? I was like, if he asks me, then that's fine, right? And then I was like, or if it comes about, I'll do it. But I was like, I'm never going to tell my story. I don't want to. And he's like, no, you should. I was like, nah. And then we got into the whole coaching thing back and forth. And then eventually, I don't know how many times you've invited me, like, Nick, come tell your story. Or Nick, hey, come on. Hey, Nick, come on. And I was like, no. Right. And I was like, I think if I say no enough times, you'll just back off.
Which I did.
Well, I mean,
I haven't asked in a while.
Yeah, it's true. I think at one point you're like, okay, I'll let him off. And, but the thing is, after you stopped asking, I started hearing the Spirit constantly push it more and more.
How'd you hear that?
Oh, just in my heart, in my head, basically, it's always like, hey, tell your story. Hey, tell your story. Right. I'd be listening to a podcast, and through the podcast, it'd be like, this is why you need to tell your story. I'm like, no, just leave it. Leave me alone. Just leave me alone. So it's always like, no. Right. And my whole life has kind of been like that. It's always been like disobedient to everything. No, I don't want to do that. No, I don't want to do that.
Is that really true? Because you told me that you were obedient to everything before too. Like you were like the good kid that like didn't break the rules.
Yeah, I didn't break the rules, right? So I was a rule keeper. So I was a very good Pharisee, but not obedient, which the Pharisees also were not obedient, right?
Oh, okay.
But yeah, I kept to the law, basically. I would have made a good lawyer. My mom always told me. Right?
Okay,
I would debate everything and just everything to a T.
Do as much as you can within the borders.
Yeah, right? Everything was like judgment and criticism are like my love languages, right? It's like everyone gets judged and criticized to my law.
How's your wife feel about that?
Which is crazy. Who? Sorry, you?
Your wife.
Yeah, she can definitely attest to that.
Okay.
So where were we?
You're sharing how the Spirit had it on your heart.
Yeah. So it pushed it on my heart a lot, and it just kept doing it over and over. And this is probably a year and a half ago it started.
Oh wow!
So it's been a while.
Okay.
And there's been a lot of me saying no.
Okay.
Right? And I say no to a lot of things. And for instance, like a small story I can give is like back when I was in Ontario with Roxy for a while. We were
Roxy's your wife.
Sorry, Roxy's my wife. Yeah. We were driving on the highway. I guess going up to the parents' cottage, and we could see in the distance because it's more flat there than here, and so we could see in the distance there's some car pulled over and somebody like walking around, and Roxy's like, oh my gosh, Nick, pull over. We can help them. Maybe they have a flat tire. You can do this or you can do that. And I'm like, no, somebody else will do it. Right. And she's like, no, just pull over. And we're getting closer. I was like, no, I don't want to do it. And then the spirits in my head, like, Nick, pull over. Just pull over. I'm like, no. And then she's like, here, spirits here. And I'm just like, just shut up. Like everyone just shut up. Right. Just no. And I just drive by them. And it was like a lady with some kids and she was on the phone. Right. And then Roxy's like, dude.
So what is the constant saying no to things? Like what is that? Because it's in simple things like even just grabbing lunch or something, or more avoidant. What is it?
Well, I mean, we'll get into it too. It's a lot of the isolation, a lot of the being reserved, just kind of being by myself. You see that through my whole childhood.
Yeah.
A lot of trauma and things kind of that happened throughout my life, and it just caused me to just pull back more and more and more, to the point where I just didn't trust anybody.
Fair
right? And I know even Roxy would say like, oh, but you trust me, right? And I was like, no, I just don't trust anybody, not even you, right? I don't trust anybody. I don't even trust myself most days, right? And so it's always been a trust issue. And so if it's like that with most people, it always got reflected to God as well. Like, I don't know, how can I trust you because this happened. How are you a good God?
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of there too with Father God relations.
Yeah.
And so, we didn't stop. We kept going. She was kind of like a little bit upset, like, oh, you should have just stopped. Right? We could have helped them. Right. And again, it was the Spirit too, like that was an opportunity.
Okay.
That was that.
So when you texted me 2 or 3 weeks ago to do this, was there something specific that you read or that you made it me like, okay, like the Spirit prompted you again and you're like, okay, I got to text Kyle now?
It was all about sharing my story, right? Sharing my story, seeing people, how they were impacted even at Freedom Session, like in my own group, right? There's a lot of power behind confession and repentance, right? Which we'll get into as well. And you see that at Freedom Session, you see that amongst friends. You see that even amongst pastors who don't confess and repent, right? Sometimes they get worse. Right? And even friends, like the more you're accountable, confess, hey, I'm going through this and I'm doing this. I've been clean for this long. There's power behind it.
Yeah, huge, yeah.
And I think people can relate too. Like I always thought nothing was wrong with me until I told my story out loud for the first time at Freedom Session. And I'm like crying and I'm like, what's wrong with me? And then I could just see it in people's eyes. They're just kind of like, oh, this is a lot. Right. And for me, it's like, oh, I thought this is normal.
Yeah,
right?
I definitely can recognize that as well, which I
Yeah.
still actually think about sometimes. Where I'm like, my childhood was pretty normal.
Yeah,
And
like
then
I thought that was normal, and they're
my
like,
counselor's like,
that's messed up. That's not right, right? Oh, really? Okay.
yeah. I think that's why it's as damaging as it is, because when you're growing up, that's literally the only thing you know. So you do actually just normalize everything, and then as an adult to like undo that is a lot of work.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's get into it. Like, where'd you grow up, and to share your story?
Yeah, so I guess my life story basically starts all the way back in Romania. Born in Romania, 1987. This is the time of communism as well. And so I'm the third child born at that point. I'm of 7 kids, so I'm like a middle child syndrome basically. And so I'm the last one born. It's 87. There's a lot of oppression. Communism's going on. The leader of the country also, his name is Nicolae Ceausescu. So my grandpa was named Nicolae. He was the second boy of the family. He had two sons. The second boy he named Nicolae, which is my dad.
They were naming it after their leader?
Yeah, like people name themselves after the leader.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. And then after him,
And were your family, was your grandpa Christian, and like your...
he was Orthodox, I think.
Oh, okay.
At that point, yeah.
So, but they would have served the government more than their faith? Like,
if you had a government job, that was more serving them, yeah, you had more securities and more privilege.
but like naming your kid Nikolai?
No, you don't get like special privilege or...
That was just something they did?
No, yeah. Like I know even in North Korea, I think they do that. They name a lot of kids after
So
the
they
leader.
actually, but your grandparents, they actually liked him as their leader then?
No.
Oh.
No. It was a love out of fear.
Oh,
like
okay.
respect him out of fear.
Oh, okay.
Right. And so like my grandpa named my dad Nikolai, he was the second son, and then my dad named me Nikolai, and I'm the second son. And so everyone thought like, oh, is he going to name his second son Nikolai? But I had 2 girls first, and then 2 boys. In which my second boy, so my last boy, I named Ashton, but his middle name is Nikolai.
Oh, okay.
So I just kind of
squeaked it in there.
Yeah, just kind of squeezed it in. Like this is all you deserve. This is all you get. Yeah.
Named after a communist.
Yeah, named after a communist. Hopefully it doesn't exist anymore after this.
Okay, so grew up 87, grew up.
Yeah, so my dad left the country then.
Right after you were born?
Yeah, we did the dedication. I think I was like 6 months or so.
Okay.
And I remember seeing pictures of like my dad, them holding me for like dedication. Yeah. It was done differently back then. But anyways, he leaves the country, and it's like you can't just leave normally. It's like you have to leave illegally. And so he had to go with a group of guys and go at night, go through certain parts of the forests, right? Certain rivers. Know when these guards are at this time, and
he left by himself?
He went with like a couple of guys, I think 2 or 3 guys.
He didn't take you guys with?
No, it was just him and these guys. That's it. We stayed home, yeah.
Okay.
And so eventually he gets out of the country. I don't know, Yugoslavia, or no, I think he was more down south, whatever, south of Romania. And so he gets there, and then he seeks refuge. They say, we can't have you here, but we'll give you to a country that actually has refugee status. You can pick Canada, America, or Australia. And I think he picked Canada because people were talking about how it's the land of the free.
Yeah.
And so he decides, I'm going to go to Canada. So he comes here, and it's not until 2 years later when we actually come back. So I'm like 2.5 when I first see him. And this is because he's saving up money to bring us, but he doesn't know when he can bring us because it's still under communist reign.
Okay.
And the reason he can't is, it's because Nicolae Ceausescu is still ruling with an iron fist. And at that point, the country starts to like backheave a little bit and fall apart. And even the army and his secret service start to turn on him because they see how bad the country's becoming. And like, we can't live like this. Yeah. And so they arrest him, and they don't know what to do with him, with the leader. And so they ask the people, what should we do? And they said, kill him, right? Death by shooting squad or something like that. And they're like, okay, if that's what they want, that's what we're going to give him. So and it was on Christmas Day of all days.
Oh, wow.
They line him up on a wall with his wife, and a shooting squad just fires and takes him out. Yeah. And then that's the fall of communism, so to speak, at that point. Yeah. And so it was from that point on that he was able to get my family and everybody out of the country. Okay. And yeah, so I see him for the first time when I'm 2.5. Yeah. Again, I don't remember that, but I remember my mom saying that your dad had a hard time readjusting. Yeah. I mean, you can imagine not seeing your kids for 2 years and then, living that bachelor life and then back to it. Yeah. It's gotta be mayhem.
Yeah. And you moved where in Canada?
So we moved to Windsor, Ontario.
Okay.
It was a very low class welfare area. So it's like, we weren't making much. We were trying to get by. And yeah, that's kind of where most of my childhood up to like 6 years old was. It was in that low income status home. And yeah, my parents hated it there, mostly because of the bad influence in the area, but they couldn't afford anything else. So they had a goal to kind of get out of there as soon as possible. But as kids, we didn't really know this. And just growing up there was so many kids on the street. Like it was just playing on the street all the time. And so there was kids like a few blocks down from us that we'd always hang out with. And that's where I started to kind of learn a few things. I mean, his name was Andrew Doig. His sister was Stephanie Doig, and their mom was Leila. And I remember going there and hanging out with them. And she was a single mom at that time, and she always reeked of alcohol. Right, I could always smell it on her. Her house was always kind of a mess. She was always smoking.
Yeah,
there was always different men, coming to her house. Right, every so often. I always thought they were like friends.
yeah.
Now you're looking at like, oh, now
Yeah.
I know what was happening. Right, and she was always happy. I don't know. I mean, maybe on the appearance,
Yeah.
just giving that always happy kind of thing. And she'd always be glad when we're coming over and playing with her kids. And she'd see me and she'd always call me Nicky Nine Doors. And she'd catch me, right? And she'd try to catch me and like hug me. And I remember I would always run away, but it was always mostly like, I hope she catches me, but I don't want her to catch me. But she would catch me and she would just like hug you. And then she would just start kissing me like crazy, like all over the face. Right. And I'm like, ah. And I remember getting home sometimes and looking in the mirror and there was lipstick all over my face.
I know you really don't want to cry today, don't you?
I don't know why it's starting now.
It's all
Yeah,
good,
but
man.
it was weird because I would keep it on for a little bit longer sometimes. And it's just because, I never even knew what affection meant, right? And so,
From either of your parents?
oh no, yeah. No, I never, no, I would say my whole life, I probably heard my mom say, I love you maybe twice. I don't think my dad ever said it ever. Yeah, like I said, I've never had a hug from my dad, except, which I could probably get into, is more like buying our love. But yeah, I never had that from them. And so kind of getting this from this stranger felt so different. And I remember once even playing in the backyard with Andrew. And yeah, this is just interesting. This is kind of when I was introduced to it. But I remember coming into the house because he's like, let's go get a snack. So we go inside to get a snack or something. And he's like, oh, I think my mom was just showering. I think she just finished. And I was like, all right, cool. Right. Whatever. And he's like, do you want to go upstairs? And I was like, yeah, we can go play upstairs. And then so we go upstairs and he's like, do you want to see my mom naked? And I'm thinking like, what? So I'm like maybe 5 at this age, 5 or 6 around that age. And I was like, what? And he's like, come here. And so we go to the bathroom where she's in, and it's got those old doors with like those key locks where it would actually stick a lock in and like an actual weird like ancient key.
Yeah.
And it was taken off. So it just had a hole. So it was like a tiny little hole. And he's like, come look through here. And so I just like look through that little hole. And there she is, like out of the shower, just fully nude, right? Just drying herself off. I'm just like looking, and I'm like, and I pull away. And then he goes back and looks again. And then I just remember feeling like, why'd I have to see that? Like, right? I didn't even get turned on. I wasn't feeling anything. I was just like, that was weird. That was, right? But he was like really into it. I didn't understand why he was so into it. Just like watching his mom. And that was just like one of those memories where it was like the first time I kind of saw something like that. And it was around that time where I started to become sexually abused at a young age, which lasted for like 5 years. It was just ongoing. And I know, I mean, maybe a lot of people understand the word sexual abuse, but I don't know. I don't like the word sexual abuse. For me, it's like, because I'm so literal about everything, it almost feels like you're being abused while being sexualized, or right, there's abusive words or something, you're being hurt right through it all. But it never felt like that with me. For me, it always felt like coercion or manipulation, right? Or taking advantage of someone who doesn't know any better. Yeah. Right. And I could just use you.
And was the person quite a bit older than you?
It was also a kid as well. It was,
okay.
Yeah, about like 4 years older than me.
Yeah.
And so I don't know where he learned it. right? And so, yeah, it continued on for several years.
And how did you process that as it was happening? You remember that? Like,
Yeah, it was like, I mean, yeah. So I mean, a lot of people could be like, "Oh, so what happened? You just kind of touched or something?" But no, ours went very deep. Kind of, there was a lot of uh, oral sex. He said you have to perform this, even anal, right, or jerk him off, or
yeah,
you do that back and forth, and right, always kind of push for more and more and more. And I never understood it, right, and it just was always confusing to me, right, and so I just kind of participated, and then I
and
did
never
it
told
out of
anybody.
no, I did out of fear too, and I was just kind of scared too. And he'd always say, "Don't say anything," right, and or you can get in big trouble. And yeah, it took years, and I think it was like when it stopped. So I'd say, yeah, probably around 10 or 11. I remember being in church, and one of the pastors. I mean, this is an old, like, I guess it's like Reformed Dutch,
Yeah,
but it's like Romanian Pentecostal, and they're just wild. It's like the men on one side, women on the other. And yeah, I remember the preacher that time. He was talking about homosexuality, and he was saying how horrible of a sin it is. How, comparing the times of Lot, what happened there, and how he would rather give up his daughters than allow this sin to occur with the
yeah,
angels. And I'm just like listening to it, and he was like, "This is like an abominable sin. Like, it's the worst of them all. And if you ever are something like this, you're deemed to go to hell for sure."
mm,
And so I was like, "What?" Right now I understood. Like, I connected the two. I was like, "Oh my gosh, this is horrible." And so I remember that's when I was like adamant on, like, no, this is ending now. Like, I
yeah.
can't do this anymore, right? But I held it with me forever, right? Out of shame and
So
out
you
of fear.
told the person, "Hey, I'm done."
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah.
Okay. And what was your relationship like with your parents during those years? Like, was it just as distant as you described up until 5, 6?
Yeah, my relationship was always very distant with them. Yeah, my mom was always very absent. She was always working. My dad was always very absent too. He was always working. I guess before we get too far ahead, yeah, like back at that house where we were living, sometimes you have core memories of like certain spots, right? And I can remember only a few spots in that whole house. And every time I remember all those spots, there's always one core memory that's stuck with them all. It's like, oh, that's what was happening. Oh, that's happened there,
Mm.
right? And one of that really sticks out was like the basement bedroom. Like, that one has two main core memories that I just remember everything in that room, where the bed is, where everything is. And one core memory was of me when I was younger. I remember like running around the house, and I ran into the room, and I started jumping on the bed and like just screaming and jumping and playing like any 5-year-old does, really. And I remember my dad came home, and I think he was coming home from work. He was stressed out, and he heard me just like screaming in the bedroom. And he like just opens the door, slams it like open, and looks at me, and he's like, "What's wrong with you?" And I just like freeze. I was like, "What are you doing?" I was like, "I don't know, I'm just jumping on the bed, I'm just playing." And he runs up to me and just like grabs me, and then just like punches me like right in the gut. And I just fall down, and I can't even breathe. Like, it's one of those like where you fall on your chest and you lose your breath for a while.
You're 5?
And I'm 5, yeah. So I mean, to be punched that hard to not be able to breathe, I don't think it was like a little tap. I think he really hit me. And so I couldn't breathe. I'm trying to catch my breath. I'm just like, it's like nothing's going in, right? And I'm just like, oh, I think this is where I'm going to die, kind of thing. And then it was after a while where I just finally got one of those big breaths in. And my dad's just standing there, just angry. He's not like, "Oh my gosh, what did I do?" No, he was just like, "Get up, stop crying, cut this out, or else next time it's going to be worse." And he just walks out, right? And I'm just crying.
And you have no context, of course, because you were just jumping on the bed.
Oh, yeah. And so then I quickly knew, jumping on the bed, illegal. Don't do that ever again. I never jumped on my bed ever again, right? I never even screamed or yelled around him anymore. And in fact, I think that was repressed. I never screamed ever again.
Yeah.
Right? Never anything like that. Yeah, and I think the other core memory, which is on the opposite side of the spectrum.
And did you think at that time, like, why did my dad do this? Did you ask him? Did you?
I never asked him.
Did
No.
Did you wonder about it? Like, why would my?
No,
my dad love
I
me?
immediately said I deserve that.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Yeah, basically everything in life that happens, it's like, I deserve that.
Okay,
I deserve that.
I recognize that. Yeah, I did the same thing.
And so I just thought it was justified. Yeah, I was jumping on the bed. That's a bad thing to do. Being punched in the gut, losing my breath is probably an equivalent punishment for that.
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
That's all I could think of. Yeah, and I guess the other side of the other core memory would be on the opposite side of the spectrum, where I remember when I was in grade 1, it was winter, and at school, the ground was all iced. It was like water and ice, and people would take turns like sliding on the ice and then go back. And then it was my turn, and one of the kids wanted to go again. So I go, he goes at the same time, takes out my legs. I fall on the ice, bash my face, and rip this tooth in half. I'm bleeding, I'm crying. My mom comes pick me up and brings me home. And I'm like in so much pain, just like throbbing. My whole face is throbbing. And I remember she brought me to that room and sat me down and just kind of like put her arms around me and just told me it's going to be fine. Right. And it's like that room holds like gut punch and like extreme love.
Yeah.
Right.
And that would have been considered extreme love to you because she rarely did those things, right?
Oh, yeah. And and I think that's that point where everything diverged, where it's like, Dad, I don't like. Mom, I love. And it's always been like that through my whole life. It's like my mom, I love dearly. Whereas my dad, I don't. Right? Or I just can't. I don't know what it is.
But that affection she showed you that day would have been pretty rare, though, even after that, still too, right?
Oh, for sure.
Okay.
Yeah.
But because she was sometimes nice to you, she'd
be nice. She'd tolerate us, but it was never like an affection, like, hey, let me read to you, or let me hold you, or, how are you doing? Talk to us. It was none of that. It was just kind of, you got hurt.
Yeah.
I'm here for you. After that, it was just fend for yourself, basically, survive.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And after that happened when you were 5, and up until you were, the abuse stopped when you were 11 or 12, how often would your dad have been physical with you? Are you running a business that looks successful on paper? Are you making money, but it doesn't feel like you're winning? I know that feeling. I was vice president of business development, helping grow a company from $9 million to $55 million in sales. I was chasing the CEO title for status, and no one saw my life was falling apart on the inside. Then I went through a coaching program, and it showed me why I was really chasing the top. It changed my life, so I quit, and now I am on a mission to help other business owners and executives be not only successful in business, but in life as well. Furiously Curious Coaching is 10 weeks, one-on-one, journal-based coaching. Book a free discovery call at furiouslycuriouscoaching.com. There's a link in the show notes.
Oh, it was nonstop. I got beat daily. Sometimes it felt like daily. It was constant beatings. It went from me being terrified when my dad would come home from work. He would, whenever he would come home from work, I would just get like this gut wrenching, like feeling like, oh, he's home from work, right? I remember it's like, oh, he's home from work. I did that. I'm probably gonna get punished for that. Or my mom would be like, just wait until your dad gets home. And I'd be so terrified. And I'd be like, I hope he works late. I hope he works late. And sometimes he'd come home like at 6:37. And I remember him coming home, and I would quickly run to my room and jump in my bed and just try to go to sleep. And I would go to sleep because I knew, hey, if I'm sleeping, he's not going to wake me up to beat me for that one thing that I did. Right? He might just let it go.
And your mom would tell him? Or
Yeah. She would tell him, this is what happened. This is what he did. This is what he did. And so then, my dad's job basically was provide for the family, beat the children. That was it.
And what's happening to your siblings as well?
Not as much though. Yeah,
Okay.
and they can definitely testify. It was.
And why is that? Do you know?
I don't know. Maybe I was more of a wild child. Maybe I was just, maybe less obedient, more just rebellious. I just like to just,
do your thing.
I was curious. I was try this, try that, go here. I was just very adventurous, just crazy. And I think my dad was trying to beat that out of me slowly. Like, hey, let's calm you down a bit and be like the other two.
Yeah.
So I was just always like that. And so my dad, was constantly beating me for anything. I mean, it got to a point once when I was older and he got so angry. He told me, to go get a branch, to cut a branch outside and to bring it to him. And so I'd hold my hand and he'd just hit me with it until it would break. And I just sat there with my hand out and he's just smacking it and I'm giving no reaction. It hurt, but I'm just looking him in the eye while he's doing it. And then I start smiling, right? Kind of like the Joker almost, like, is that all you got? Right? And he just kept hitting until it all broke. And I just kind of looked like that and I just put my hand away and I just start like laughing. And he just whipped it at me and said, get out of my face. And that was the last time he ever tried hitting me.
Okay.
Yeah. It's almost like he finally realized I can't hit him anymore.
What age was that? Okay, roughly?
13, 14,
Okay.
right? Which is kind of old to be hitting your kids, even if you're hitting your kids. It seems kind of outrageous.
Yeah, I'm not a big fan of hitting kids.
Yeah, neither am I, right? But it's like, yeah, it just still seems like at that age, yeah, it's bonkers.
Yeah.
Yeah, and
And were you angry back at your dad? Like when did?
Oh yeah, I never liked him. Oh yeah, I was always angry at him.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, a good story here, which is kind of dark. He could always hit me and take it out on me, and I was fine with that, right? And I remember one day he got home from work, and I think he was stressed out, and him and my mom were having an argument, and my parents almost never argue. Like, it's so weird. I think I've seen them argue maybe twice their whole life, and this is probably one of them that I could remember. And I don't know what he was said, but she just left the room crying. Like, she couldn't hold it together. She was just crying as if someone died. And he walks out just kind of like, whatever. I don't give a rat's ass, right? Mm-hmm. Who cares? And I remember feeling like, you can hurt me, but you can't hurt mom. Mm. And it was that night when everyone went to bed. I remember grabbing a knife from the kitchen. It was like 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock. It was really late. Everyone was sleeping. And I remember walking to his door with the knife. And I had in mind, I was like, I'm going to stab him in the neck. And I'll watch him bleed to death. And that'll probably bring me some joy. And that'll end everything. My mom will never get hurt again. Neither will I. I think this is going to be a good ending. And I remember sitting there. And it must have been the spirit that pushed me. Because it kept saying, don't do this. Don't do this. Don't do this. And I was like, I need to do this. And it's like, don't do it because of your mom. And that's where I just kind of froze. And it's like, your mom still loves him. And if you do this, she'll have to watch all of you by herself. It'll be like that mom back in Windsor. And how is she going to have to deal with it? And so I'm thinking like, oh, geez, that is kind of rough. And so I remember just putting it back and just going back to bed. But yeah, it was really hard for me to deal with it. And it just became me ignoring him after a while. And it wasn't until much later where it went from me just ignoring and not caring about my dad to now seeing how much my dad showed a lot of, I would say, affection and attention to my older brother. Right? He'd be like, oh, come to work with us. Or, oh, come do this. And he'd learn auto body. He'd learn farm work. He'd learn a whole bunch of stuff. And almost like he favored him far more than me. And I couldn't do anything to win my dad's favor. And so I thought, like, how am I going to do this, right?
So you were still trying to win your dad's favor? Oh,
yeah. I was trying to win his favor because his love could only be bought. And a good story of that, actually, which I remember telling Roxy, not too recent, and was... My dad was sometimes, this probably happened, I can remember like 3 times maybe this happened. But my dad was not affectionate at all, except for this one time. He would come home and he would have like candy bars with him. And he would sit on the chair in the kitchen and he'd be like, who wants one of these? And we're like, oh my gosh, right? And he's like, if you want one, you have to line up. You have to give me a hug and then kiss me on the cheek and I'll give you one. And so we'd line up. Give him a hug, give him a kiss on the cheek, and then he gives a chocolate bar. And I remember it felt so weird, but I was like, I want that chocolate bar. And I did that. And so I did give him, and then he gave me a chocolate bar, and he smiled, and he gave me a chocolate bar. And I was so excited. And it was almost like he bought our love with these sweets. Like, my kids will never hug me, will never kiss me on their own, fruition, but if I do this, they will. And what's so messed up about that is that yesterday, as I'm like remembering all this, I remember he gave me a Twix bar, right? And there was like a Mars bar too and stuff, but he gave me a Twix bar. And I remember eating that Twix bar. And the craziest thing ever that I was telling Roxy just recently was that, and she knows this, my favorite chocolate is Twix. That's whenever we go anywhere at a gas station, I'll always grab a Twix, right? I don't do it anymore now, but it was for Christmas, Roxy would have Twix in my stockings, right?
And it was related to that?
And I'm now starting to see maybe it was related, right? Because I remember receiving a Twix bar. Yeah. And for me, the connection there was almost that this is the only way I can know my dad's love is by this Twix bar, by buying his love, right? And maybe subconsciously I would buy them because whenever I ate them, I feel like they're the best candy out there. Like nothing compares. Yeah. And some people are like, it's all right, right? This one's better. I'm like, no, this is the best. Like, it's like the emotional and just the high I get from eating something like that just makes me so happy.
Yeah.
Right. And
And him showing up that way and almost like earning love, do you think that's what's contributed to the fact that now as an adult you struggle with getting stuff for free, or what, if someone tries to help you, you're like, there's got to be an ulterior motive, like.
yeah, 100%. Yeah, I learned that from my dad. If someone's helping you or giving you a helping hand, I remember him sitting down with us and saying, nothing is for free in this world. Nothing. And I'm like, oh, what about this? Oh, what about that? What about this? No, this. What about breathing? That's free. He's like, no, you still use your energy. So you're paying something to get your oxygen. I was like, oh, right. And I'm just trying to think like, what's free? What's free? What's free? And he goes, everybody wants something from you. And if they're doing something, they're getting something, right? Like look at phones. They tell you all the time, all these apps are free. No, they're buying you, right?
Yeah.
And so it's like, oh yeah, nothing is free. And so I thought about that. And yeah, whenever I encounter people, when people are like, hey, you want to hang out? First thing is always like, what do they want from me, right? Do they want my money? Do they want to spend time with my kids more? Do they want this? Do they want me to invest in this? Do they want, what do they, and I play that whole game and I just go down this rabbit hole of like, let's look up their Facebook. Let's look into their whole life. What do they do? What do they do? Okay, could this be this? Could this? And so it's like I try to have an angle as to what are they really trying to get at? And sometimes it's just like, oh, I just want to hang out.
And it also keeps you from asking help from anybody, right?
Yeah, and even asking help. Yeah, I do things by myself. I work alone. I just enjoy working alone.
Yeah.
If I'm putting something up in the house and I know if Roxy was there just to hold it and make it so much easier, but I'm just, I got this, and I'm just like swearing like crazy. I'm going to get this right. And then she's like, are you okay? I got it. Just leave me alone. I got this. Right. And I don't ask for help. Yeah.
Has that changed at all after Freedom Session?
A little bit. It is. It's one of those things that is just since my childhood. It's so hard to break. Right. And I don't know.
How does that tie into the gospel? Like the gospel being free.
Yeah.
And
grace
being free. Like, what's your journey been in learning that? And like, were you taught a free gospel growing up, or was it not really?
No, it was a fear gospel. It was almost like, if you don't do these things, you go to hell, right? So do so you can win, right? Don't do these. So it was all just the works. You do the works, you get things, right? You get the chocolate bar, you get the hug, right? You do this, you get that.
But theologically, you would have grown up with. The theology would have been taught Pentecostally, or was it Pentecostal? No, you said
it was Pentecostal.
Pentecostal. Would that have been? Would they have been their theology being free grace, like, or would they have been a works-based salvation, like Arminian?
I didn't hear free grace preached often.
Okay,
I don't think I ever remember hearing it once. It was always more things that you do, like a lot of like head coverings and things that Paul preached to like the churches of how to
like outward.
Yeah. So it's all about how the church should behave, how you should, how you should be in church, basically.
Yeah.
But never very rarely weird about Jesus and kind of, because when at around this age, like I started wanting to impress my dad somehow, and reading the whole Bible was one of them. And I remember reading the whole Bible from start to finish. And that just blew my mind. It's like, why is none of this preached in our church? None of this makes any sense. Am I reading it wrong?
How old would this have been?
Probably around 12.
Oh, wow.
Or so, 12, 13. I remember reading the whole thing.
Yeah.
I was really interested in it. And it was weird because it's like the Old Testament. No one told me about all the stuff in the Old Testament, right? Like things where the incest, right? The murders, the sex, the guy jerking his seat off on the ground, right? And you're just like, why is this in the Bible? What is going on here, right? And just the affairs. And then you read Solomon's Songs of Songs, or Solomon of, and about the lovemaking, and you're like, this is so weird, right? And then you get to like the New Testament, and then it's all the things Jesus said, right? That I would be like, oh, this is powerful.
Yeah.
I remember everybody ever saying something like this. Oh, this is powerful. And asking my mom about it, what does this mean? Or how does, she's like, oh, I don't know what that means. Oh, I'm not sure. And so I just made it my mission. I need to read this Bible and really understand it more and more and more. And that's where I became like a huge debater in like the Bible with a lot of people.
Yeah. And it probably lent more into the Phariseeism as well, because you were trying to get your dad's approval, so trying to do everything right. Did that did that increase in your teenage years? Like when you said you stopped getting beat when you were 13, 14.
Yeah.
And then did you become like more of a goody-goody kind of
Yeah, I mean, it was cognitive dissonance for me because on one side, I was like, oh, we need to live like this, and then on the other side, I'm reading this New Testament where it's all about, it's not even about the works. It's about how you should be, what Jesus is asking, obeying.
Yeah.
And so I'm just like, I'm stuck between the two. So it's like I want to be more like this, but I feel like I should be like this. And I was so confused. It was at that point where I remember falling on my knees, crying in my bedroom and praying. And I was just praying and praying. I had the Bible in front of me. And I did one of those funny, I'm not sure if religious people do this or church people do this, but I'm praying and I was like, Lord, I'm going to open up the Bible anywhere. And I'm going to point to a verse. And I want that verse for you to speak to me about what I should do in life because I'm so confused, right? Where do I go? How do I live life? And I'm thinking, like, as I'm reading, I was like, oh, what if I hit Numbers? That's going to be weird. Or Chronicles, right? Where they're like in 7,700 people of this. I was like, whatever. If I hit it, then I know God doesn't exist. So I just open up the Bible, don't even know where it is. And I just go, boom, and I point and I open up my eyes. And my finger not only is like, it's not on the words, my finger is literally under the verse number, all right? And it was Proverbs 3:5. It was right under there. And it literally said, trust in the Lord with all your heart and lean not on your own understanding. And I just froze. And I was thinking, wow, right? Up until this point, it was about me doing as much as I can, controlling situations, right? And he's like, hey, you want freedom? You want to see what peace feels like? Trust in me and don't lean on what you know.
And how old would this have been?
Oh, around 13, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, pretty young. And I was driven. I was like, wow. And I was like, all about like, hey, I want to learn more about this. And so I started reading Proverbs every day for a month. If you read it every day, you finish it. I did that maybe for a year. So I read it so many times. If I show you my old Bible of that one, it's literally like marked up like crazy, just Proverbs. All the other ones look like it hasn't even been touched, right? Because I just read that one like crazy. Yeah, and it was at that point where I wanted to follow the Lord and trust in him a lot more. But at the same time, I still felt like I had to do things to get it. And so again, I was living that double life. I didn't know which way to go.
Yeah.
And so I was like, I can do both. I'll trust God and I'll have faith, but I still should do what I can.
I'll still lean on my own understanding.
Yeah, right? Kind of, I'll mix them up. I'll mix this cocktail together. It's going to taste like crap, but I'll mix it. And that's not what God wants, right? Obviously, he wants full obedience and full trust. And so I mixed them up and it was, I remember going through school, every sport, I played every sport I excelled at. I had to be the best. I was a captain of so many sports teams. Track and field, I would dominate. I got on the chess team, playing a lot of chess. I always had to be best at chess. Ping pong, I started playing like crazy. Even school, I started trying to do as much as I can to be an honorary student. And then I did. I got honors. I got honors every single year. I was top of my class. Grade 12, I got the math award, which you guys know I like math. Right?
If you guys ever seen comments on the Briefcase of the Barn podcast, it's I like math.
Yeah, and that was my name on my Gmail account was always I like math because I do, right? And I still do to this day. Yeah. I think it's fun and I love teaching it too to my kids. My kids can't stand it, but once I teach it to them, they're like, oh, this makes so much more sense, right? And I don't know why. I just really enjoyed math growing up. Got the math in grade 12. I got the French award in grade 8. I tried to do everything I could to be the best of the best. And every single moment, my dad didn't care, right? It was never like, wow, I'm proud of you. Oh, good job, Nick. Oh, this is good. And I was like, man, I got to do better. Like,
and would you show him when you got home or tell him?
Oh, yeah, they would know.
And he would just say,
Yeah, my mom was always happy. Like, oh, this is great. This is a good job. Like, she was always pushing, like, this is really good. But my dad was like, I remember him even making comments like, school's useless. And
would your siblings have been doing this thing, showing up the same way at school?
No. Oh, okay. My older brother actually went to a special needs school, like where it was more like hands-on.
Okay.
Because he just he didn't do well in school.
Okay.
My sister she wasn't as great either. I remember I actually had to tutor her in math. And she's 2 years older than me. So I was doing her math for her and explaining it to her.
Okay, interesting.
Yeah, and I remember doing calculus, and she's just looking at me like, I don't even know what the heck that is. I was the one who always pushed to be the best that I could.
And did you already at that time, like in high school years, start like have the thinking like I'm a piece of shit or like I'm no good, that kind of thinking, or like what? Do you remember any internal dialogue if you liked yourself, or was that already starting to go away?
Yeah,
then,
I felt. I mean, yeah, I felt like I didn't belong because I think I lived a double life too. Like at school, I had my school friends, and I lived a certain way, talked a certain way, and then at church, I had my church friends, and I was always like, these people can never meet each other because if they did, they'd be like, oh, Nick is like this, and this one would be, no, Nick is like this, and they'd be like, you must have a different Nick.
Yeah.
But I was easily just like becoming two different people, and I lived my life like that for many years. And I think it was just to appease people, right? To kind of win whenever favor with them. But yeah, I guess I didn't really like who I was, and I was always trying to figure out who I was, who God was. I was always confused. I mean, I still am. Let's be honest. Like, there's always like questions, like I don't understand what's going on here. What's happening there.
Yeah. And what would you have had like a bigger friend group, or would you have been an isolationist kind of back then already?
Oh,
too?
I was one of the popular kids in school.
Okay.
Yeah, I was friends with, the jocks. I was friends with the library kids.
And that was because did you think you
goths.
learned how to be chameleon to a certain degree and adapt to the people?
Yeah, I adapt to my environment very well.
Yeah.
Right, and I could just kind of fit in.
Which I think is actually training on how probably your dad showed up, because and I can recognize this as well, growing up in a really religious home, you learn to, like adapt to the situation so you don't get noticed or do get noticed or whatever it is.
Yeah. No, that's true. Yeah. And I would just, different situations that I'm in, I just play a different character. It's almost like I had multiple personalities that I would just pull out. Okay, this guy's going to be playing today.
Yeah.
Right. Just to adapt to a certain, but I was never me.
Yeah.
Right. It took many years until me became me. I think maybe 4 years ago.
Yeah.
I would say. But up until that point, it was always just playing.
Yeah. So you're the popular kid and could fit in with everyone. They're doing well in school.
Yeah.
But no recognition from your dad, at least.
No, not even up to that point. Yeah. No, never did. And then I graduated high school.
And during those years, what impact did the sexual abuse have on you? Did that have like when?
I totally forgot. I mean, I didn't forget about it. I just put it behind me.
Oh, okay.
And I just treated it as like, you know what, that happened. We were both stupid. We both didn't even know anything. I just kind of like ignored it. Like,
okay, I just buried it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well,
It's not like you had a relationship with girls in your high school?
Actually, that's one big thing is that I never dated. I never got into relationships. And I think that could have been why. Part of that. I never really got into pornography either. Like, it was only until like maybe near the end of like a lot of the sexual abuse where I kind of looked at some stuff and then I just didn't want to anymore. I kind of felt really grossed out by it. And I think that kind of really even pushed me through life. Like I just wasn't I found girls that were pretty and attractive, but I didn't really want anything to do with that. And so I didn't do anything until, I was a virgin my whole life. First time ever having sex was with my wife.
Yeah.
Right. And I made sure that was, again, legalistic. Like, this has to happen. I cannot go around and do it with so many other women. So I really kept to that. Yeah. A lot.
Okay. Interesting. So you graduate and you start working?
Yeah. So I graduate high school, and that's when my parents were like, hey, we're moving to BC. So I was 18. And I got enrolled to our university there for organic chemistry. I was top of my class for organic chemistry, and I really enjoyed organic chemistry. And so I was like, yeah, I want to go do that. And so they're like, oh, that's great. But then I was like, yeah, but it's in Windsor. I need to stay here. And you guys are moving, so can I stay with grandma and grandpa? And they're like, absolutely not. You're coming with us.
Oh, wow.
And so I couldn't stay there, and I felt really bad about it.
So why?
No, we just had to stick with the family. Like,
Okay.
I couldn't just stay with somebody else. Like, they had to keep me close. So we move. I'm kind of like, great, I can't do that. We come here, and they have like the Fraser Valley University. It was like a university college then. And they didn't have it. And so the closest was UBC. And so I was like, oh, can I go to UBC? But it's a long drive every single day. And they didn't have online. Do I get a dorm? She's like, you know what? It's too expensive, too much. Just find something else to do. Don't do that. Go into business. Learn business. So I go and do business courses. Take a few business courses. They're fine. There's a lot of math in it too. And I find it's okay.
Yeah.
Right. And I get a lot from it too. But then one day my dad's like, I don't know why you're going to school. It's kind of useless. You're not going to get anywhere with that stupid school. He's like, come work with me in the trades. Come learn something, a real skill that can pay. And he wasn't wrong, right? There's a lot in trades that people don't understand. And I was like, okay, sure. So at that point I was working at like Shoppers Drug Mart, making like 500, maybe 400 a week.
Yeah.
If like full time. I'm like, oh yeah, this is good money. And I go work with him just 2 days. And then he gives me a check of like $600. And I'm just floored. Like, I'm like, what is this for? Like, again, I'm thinking, like, is he buying me for something? Like, is there some, what's going on? And he's like, oh, that's for the work that you did, for helping me. And I'm thinking, like, what? How is this even possible? Like, this is a lot of money and I barely did anything. And he's like, well, that's what it's like in the trades. And part of me feels like, I think he bought me. I think that was him to kind of get me out of school. Yeah. Right. His way of buying me. And it worked. And I was like, oh my goodness. And then I quit my job.
So that was $300 a day.
Oh yeah.
And he can to keep up that
he kept to it when I started working. Yeah. He kept that hourly wage and stuff. And so I was like, wow, this is impressive. And so I started working for him a lot more and still going to school because I wanted to finish part of my school. I only did 2 years at that point, and then I just stopped. Yeah. And then that's kind of when I started getting into the trades and started doing tile work basically. And
nitty-gritty tiles, guys.
Nitty-gritty, yeah. This is not an advertising podcast right now, so it's a simple freedom session. And so I started doing that full time and learning that and
working for your dad.
Working for my dad, and then eventually we get this huge project out in Calgary. We go out there for about a year and a half. I guess before we go out there, there's a girl that I do meet here, and she's 2 years older than me though, and she's a nice girl, but she's got a lot of problems. She's had guys abuse her, take advantage of her. She's lost her virginity. She's, guys were like, oh, do this, do that, And so she was always used a lot. And I felt really bad for her. And I just tried to always like encourage her and stuff. And then she grew to like have a lot of affection for me because I was one of those guys that was not seeking to get anything from her, but just kind of like poured into her.
Yeah,
right?
Being kind. Yeah.
And so she really drew to me. And then she always was very affectionate with me and stuff. And I didn't even know what that affection meant too. So I kind of enjoyed it. But at the same time, I was like, no, I don't want this. Yeah. I want to grow as pure. That was just my mindset is I want to grow as pure. I don't want something broken. I don't have to deal with this. And so again, it was me fighting with that. And so she always kind of would push. Eventually I did give in and I was like, okay, I'll date. Like we'll date. That's fine. Yeah. And so we do date. And throughout our dating, we just drive places and stuff. And I remember her like just sliding her hand while I'm driving around to my crotch and just like caressing me. And I'm just like, right. It was just like a bit uncomfortable. But I was like, I'll let it go. And then she would just constantly tell me like, do you want a blowjob? I'll give you one right now. Do you want a hand job? Like it was a lot. She would tell me a lot. Like, hey, do you want it? Do you want it? And every time I was like, no, hey, no, we're not doing that. Hey, hey. And usually most men are like, jackpot, finally, right? Here we go. But I refused it every single time. I was like, I'm not doing this. And so she just pushed harder and harder as if like, well, this guy's hard to get. Right. But she also thought like, this is what she should be doing because every other guy that she was with.
That's how she showed it with love.
You need to do this. That's how you do it. Right. Yeah. And I was just trying to like reverse it. Like, no, this is not what's going to happen. And it got to a point where her friend basically told her, hey, why are you still dating him if you're not getting anything? Like, what a loser. Like, just dump him. Mm-hmm. And so she eventually did dump me, I guess more from peer pressure and influence. I felt devastated. I thought like, hey, we were really building something. And so I was like, forget it. That was just a waste of my time. And then I think that's when kind of we moved to Calgary. And it wasn't until years later when I started dating my wife. So we started dating. I met her online. So while I'm in Calgary, I met her online on a Romanian
it's
website,
the greatest thing.
Raw Youth.
Yeah. It's like a social media site, right?
Yeah, it was kind of like a forum where you can post pictures, and it was connecting all of the Romanian churches in North America. Yeah. That I can go on a whole rabbit hole on that one too. That one's funny. Of like basically how I met Roxy. Yeah. We probably don't have to get into that though. But yeah, so I met her on that website, and we got to chatting a lot, and I would call her and we'd text. And eventually, as I'm communicating with her more, this is when the other girl kind of comes back into my life saying, I made a huge mistake. Like, I never had it as good with you, right? And I'm starting to see why it was better, and I can't believe I listened to my friends. Please let's make this work again. And I was like, no, I'm already like dating this other girl now. I'm with her. Like, forget it, right? And she would just keep pushing and like, no, I made a mistake. And I was like, you know what? that's what happens when you make a mistake. You learn from it and you move on. So you can learn from it. And that was it. I completely cut her out. And sometimes I still see her from time to time, even like maybe a few years ago, I saw her with her kids and stuff. And I can still see it in her eyes. Like she has a hard time looking at me and just talking. And I would talk to her and I'm like, how you doing? And I can see she's not, I don't know.
Yeah.
Which is bad. I feel bad for her. But
and how do you and showing up the way you did in that relationship and not engaging at all sexually, do you think that was tied to the abuse? Do you think that was just tied to like you needed to be a perfect kid and this was really bad?
I think both.
Okay.
Yeah, I think it was probably a lot of the abuse, a lot of me trying to correct my wrongs that I felt I wronged.
Yeah.
Right? Because sometimes when you're in that situation, you feel like you're the one who's at wrong. That's why you're not telling anybody.
Yeah.
And so I thought, hey, if I clean up my life and I don't do any of this and don't do this until I get married, I feel like I've paid it off.
Yeah.
Right? I've paid my sin off. And that's how I felt. Like, hey, I got to do all these things. And I think then God's like, all right, for your past, you're clean.
Yeah.
I know it's kind of stupid. But
well, I mean, that's the
mentality.
if we associate God with our own earthly fathers, then you're going to believe in works-based salvation because that's you grew up in a works-based love home. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And so I did that. And then it fell apart with that other girl. And so I was dating Roxy now. And for me, it's like once I was dating Roxy, I actually visited her in Ontario, and we hung out. And I was like, "Oh, she's a great girl. This is fun." You know, we hung out. We hit it off, and we didn't do anything, obviously. And then we came back. We texted more, and so now I was starting to feel like.
How old have you been?
20, I think. 20.
Okay.
At this point, it's 20. Yeah. And so we started. I started dating. I guess around 20, and I remember thinking, what if I lose her too? Like, I don't want to lose her too, right? Like we connect very well. There was none of that, like, oh, we need to do all this sexual stuff. And so I'm thinking like, oh, I don't want to lose her either. And so the other girl, she was constantly, like I said, she always wanted to be with me, but then I just put her out of my life. And I was thinking to not lose her again, maybe I need to do some of those sexual things, kind of like secure it, right? By doing it, then we've kind of created that soul tie, and now it's like, hey, if you break this off, you know, we're both gonna feel it, because she was a virgin too. And so I remember going there a second time, and we started to like make out, and I feel like we did everything in the books that you can possibly do sexually, except for actual real sex. Yeah. Right. So, and I think that was our way of justifying that we never had sex.
Yeah, it's pretty common, I think.
Right.
In Christian
We
circles.
did everything else but that, and so we thought like, oh, we're still good. And it's stupid because I feel like I did part of that to secure her, and maybe she did it to secure me, right? So like now, if you go anywhere else, you're tainted, right? So, and then our relationship got way harder after that. Like it just made things worse, right? And I remember our dating life was so hard, and I thought like, man, why did I do this? And it made it very hard, and that's why I always encourage guys, like the more you sleep around, the more you do it, the more it's going to create soul ties. It's going to, cause more damage in your life. And I felt it for that moment, and I didn't want to leave her, but
it was also compounded by the fact that you believed any of your behaviors that were bad deserved punishment.
Yeah.
Or
deserve payment.
Yeah, deserve payment. Yeah.
Always. Yeah.
Or anything bad happening, I must have done something.
100%.
Yeah.
Something always deserves payment. Yeah. Right. Kind of like our sins deserve payment from Christ, right? Yeah. But then it's clean, but then I still feel like, oh, I still got to pay for it. Yeah. Like Jesus wasn't enough. Yeah. Right. So I thought, okay, I need to pay for it. Yeah. It's always been like that. Yeah. And eventually we are dating, and we get engaged, and she's visiting me. And I think we're 6 months from the day of the wedding. And it's at this point in my life where I get ulcerative colitis, right? A lot of people don't know what that is. It's in the branch of like IBD, IBS.
That is either.
So it's so you have IBD, ulcerative colitis, and Crohn's, right?
Okay.
And these are what I would describe as like probably one of the worst conditions ever. Like it's hellish. It screws you up mentally, screws you up like physically.
What is it? Like,
spiritually, emotionally.
What happens?
So what happens is it's all in your gut, right? So gut microbacteria. They say it's an autoimmune. Anyways, that's debatable. And so I can't digest food properly in certain foods, right? And certain foods would flare me up. And so what happens is it's ulcers in your colon, colitis.
Okay.
And so they build up a lot of these ulcers and it gets inflamed. And then your stools are all bloody, right? And you get like diarrhea and blood. And you go to the washroom maybe like 20 times a day.
Oh shit.
Yeah.
No pun intended.
Oh shit. Is what it was all the time. And it's so painful.
Yeah.
And it feels like needles and knives in your gut, like right in your side. And you're always in pain and you're always grumpy and you're irritable. That's why they call it IBS, irritable bowel syndrome, right? And you don't feel good mentally. You can never focus. You have to watch out what foods you're eating. Spiritually, again, you fall spiritually. Like it just destroys you. And that's when I got it. And I feel like part of that, I have to pull back several years because at one time when I was praying in my room, one of the stupid prayers that you should never pray, I prayed that God test me with fire and give me a thorn in my side like Paul, so that he could see that I'm always dedicated to him, that I never stray and fall off the path, right? And to be blessed with fire back then, what I was taught is that hard times, always give me hard times to keep me like rooted, like, okay, these are to strengthen me. I need to be stronger, right?
Yeah.
Don't give me the easy times because I'll slip away and become woke,
Yeah.
right? Give me something hard. And so I prayed for hard times and a thorn in my side, like Paul. And you know, Paul had a thorn in his side. And Paul always prayed, like, Lord, take this thorn from me. And God said, no, in your weakness, there is strength, right? I find strength.
And the grace is sufficient for you.
Yeah. And so Paul prayed 3 times to have it taken away, and he never did. And some people say they don't know what he had, but he had some kind of pain that he dealt with his whole life right after. And he still praised God. And so here I am praying that. And here I am now at 20, getting that literal thorn in my side. And I feel it every time I go to the washroom.
Do you own a business? Have you tried to hire a quality employee and felt it nearly impossible? Or are you on the other end and you're looking for a great company to work for, but you can't seem to find any? Well, that's where we are here for. Furiously Curious Recruiting helps match great people with great businesses and great businesses with great people, where both can flourish and be profitable. If you're looking for either, reach out and we can definitely help. Link in the show notes.
And you can't focus, you can't pray, you start to hate things, and I think that would cause me to really pull away because you can't even go places, right? You can't plan ahead. You have to, like, are there washrooms there? Are there, how many people are there? And that takes over you for years and years and years. And then you're like, I don't even want to go anymore.
So how long did you have this? Or like how long?
I still have it.
You still have it?
I still have it, yeah.
So every time you go to the washroom now, you
never get it. You never can't get it away. Like,
you're always in pain?
No. So now it's under remission,
Okay.
right? And I've been taking a lot of supplements, and there's certain diets you eat, right, that really help. I've sought out a health coach to really help me with that.
You asked for help?
Yeah, yeah. See, that's me getting a little bit better. But yeah, no, I've done a lot better with it. I used to go like I said, 20, 15 times every day, bedridden. I just couldn't shake it. I
kind of recognize that a little bit from when I had my back problems last year and I couldn't sit down anywhere. And I was always just in like insane pain.
Yeah.
That how it like consumes your brain and you
can't think.
No, you can't think.
You can't focus. Yeah. And some people think it's like brain fog, but it's just, it's your mind's always on it.
Yeah.
Right. And you just can't focus. And now it's better. It's obviously a little bit better, right? I probably go to the washroom maybe like 2 or 3 times, maybe sometimes just once or twice a day, right? With anybody who has UC, they'd be like, that's amazing, right? I mean, anybody who's watching this podcast, if they have Crohn's or IBS or UC, they'd say that's crazy.
Yeah. So you get that in your early 20s and 6 months before you get married. And you feel like that is really what made you start to like isolate more?
Yeah, that's probably the start of it all.
Okay.
That's where it really plays with your mind a lot.
Yeah.
Screws you up. And so I remember telling my wife when I had that, we went to go see the doctor, and that's when he broke it to us. He says, hey, this is what it is. And we're like, okay, and how do we cure it? It's not curable. You can medicate, and it helps with medication, but you have to keep it. I'm like, what? And he goes, and there's something I need to tell you. You don't live long with it, right? There's been a lot of people that have, gotten colon cancer and died at a younger age because of it. And I'm like, what? And he goes, so there is that chance that you might not make it to 30 or even a little bit past 30. And I'm like, oh my goodness, right? And he's like, but you're a Christian, so you have Christ, so we're all good, right? Kind of like, doesn't matter. And so I'm just like broken. And I'm thinking like, geez, I'm going to die young. Like I'm only like 20, 21 now. I have like what, a decade left. And so I'm devastated by it. And my main goal then switches from how can I provide for my wife so that she's set for life and that if I do die, she's good. She's taken care of. Right.
And would you have communicated with your parents that you got this disease? And
Yeah, they found out too because we were still visiting them too. This is like, I mean, I was living with my parents because we were just engaged.
Of course, yeah.
So they kind of found out and they kind of knew. And my mom tried different things that would make it way worse until now I realized that foods that she was giving me actually agitated, right? But she thought, oh no, this will cure you. It didn't.
And what would your relationship been with your dad like before you get married and you were working with him? Was it just like strictly work based? Would he still be like?
Yeah, we just worked. Yeah,
that was the extent of your
that was not a relationship really. It was work.
And any anger still, or like you'd get upset at you still, or
no. It was more like
just flat.
Nick does his own thing, just leave him alone. Right?
Okay,
And I stayed out of his.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah. He knew he couldn't hit or anything, right? So he just didn't even bother with me anymore at that point.
Okay, so you get married, you have this disease.
Yeah, so I tell my wife, hey, let's just end the marriage. Like, let's end this because I don't think you want to be with me for the rest of my life.
Yeah, that is such a Nick thing to do.
Find somebody else. Find someone better. Like,
yeah,
this is for you, not for me.
Hey, Nick, you want to go for lunch? Find someone better.
There's always someone better, right? and so she's like, absolutely not. Like, through sickness and death. And I was like, that's stupid, right? Don't do that. And she's like, I'm like, you're not even married, so you can't. She's like, no, I feel like we are married, and I want to be with you, even through all this, and I'll care for you. And I was like, you're such an idiot. Just go do, go find somebody else. You can find somebody else. There's so many more people. And so no, she wanted to, and so we did get married. And I remember like our wedding day. Yeah, I was in a bit of a flare then too, and it's just, a lot of it's a blur because when you're in a flare, you can't remember everything because you're always trying to think of like how to get through these moments. And so it's like, we did a lot of photos everywhere. And eventually we did get married. And then we moved here. She wanted to move here.
You weren't in BC already?
No. I was in BC. She was in Ontario.
Oh, okay.
So we were deciding where are we going to live.
Yeah, okay.
And so she wanted to move here. Her dad told me, you better not take her away. And I said, I won't. I'll move there. That's fine. But then she made a decision. I want to get out of here. Like, I can't be around my parents. They drive me insane. I want my freedom. I want a dog.
Yeah.
I was like, all right, we can do all that.
Yeah.
So, we eventually get married, move into our own place. We get a dog. Her parents are like, or her dad's like, I'm not visiting you since you have a dog. She's like, that's cool. Right? A little bit offended, but that's cool. We live our own life. We start to go about it. And this is when I, after we finished Calgary, I had quite a bit more money in my account. I had like 70 grand or 80 grand. And I was like, I want to open up a franchise. I want to open up a business or something. And so I wanted something that's recurring, that's stable, passive income that she could have. That was my goal. And so that's what I do. I'm researching different ones. Subways don't pay that well or this or that. And eventually I come across one and it's a 24-hour tanning salon. It's the very first 24-hour tanning salon. It just kind of recently started in Texas. I'm like, oh, that's cool. So we start that. And I started at Eagle Landing. And we opened up the very first. And a lot of the expenses.
And so you quit for your dad?
No, I still worked.
Oh, okay.
Right? Because what happened is that we put all this money into it and things are so expensive. Once I already got my feet wet, I was already falling. I was like, we just got to keep going. So I get money from her parents to help us. We start going. And then after that point, I was like, I need to ask my parents for some money or something. So we asked my parents if they could just loan us some money because we want to just kind of get through it and then eventually pay it back.
Yeah. Would that have been hard for you to ask?
Oh, for sure. Very hard to ask for money. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah, I can't even ask for help. Asking for money, that's just way below me. I can't do that. I'd rather starve than ask for money. But my wife was like, we need to, right? And so I felt like her was a reason I had to. Yeah. And so we did. And they said, let me think about it. And then they got back to me saying, we have a proposition. Instead of giving you money, how about we all come in on as investors in it? And I was like, okay, who's we? And it's like your mom and I, your brother, your brother and your brother-in-law, like we all go in on it. And I'm like, oh geez. I was like, okay, and they're all gonna like give some kind of an investment, like a buy-in and stuff of what it's worth. And like, yeah, well, I'll give a buy-in. So they give me, my dad gives you the money, but they never give me their buy-in. They're like, oh, well, you don't have the money yet, we'll give it soon. But the business was slowly growing. Like every month it was better and better, but it still had so many expenses. Like the beds were so expensive. We had like a $4,000 or $5,000 monthly payment just for the beds to pay them off because it's on a short term. And so I'm working too, they're working, we're all kind of pulling money and it's slowly getting by. They never give us their buyout. We get to year 2.5, and at year 3 is where the beds are paid off. And our payments literally go from like $12,000 a month or $10,000 a month to like $4,000 a month. And I was like, oh, that's going to be great. Everything is just going to be smooth sailing. And I think at this time is when my dad did notice that, things are going to probably get better, but we're still putting in the money. And we're like, hey, we can just pay off all the beds now. My dad had a line of credit. Like, we can just pay them all off now. We're good to go. And then we just slowly start coming back. And my dad, I don't know why, at that point, he was like, how about we close it down? How about you go bankrupt and we close it down? And then I'll buy the beds back from like a bailiff at a cheaper price. We open up in a different location.
Oh my.
And then we put under my name, right? And then you can still keep working and we'll take it off. So everything's lower cost. And for me, I felt like that's a good idea, but that's a horrible, we're going to lose everything. But for him, it was all about lowering the cost. But it wasn't. I think it was for him to have control, because it was all about control. So I agree. Oh, actually, no, I don't agree. I was like, no, I don't want to do that. I don't think this is a good idea. Let's just keep going. And then he's like, no, we should do that. And then he didn't want it. He's like, you know what? We're not going to invest anymore. We're done. Just let it fall apart. I was like, what? And so I couldn't carry it by myself. And
so why was it at this last 6 months before you were going to have it all paid off that all of a sudden you didn't have the money to pay it anymore?
I guess my dad just didn't want to.
But he hadn't paid it all yet up until that point.
He paid, no, we were paying per month to keep it going. He did pay some small amount, but the others never did a buyout either, right? So it was kind of more like the control.
But at the 2.5 year mark, you didn't have enough to make the payments anymore.
No, we still needed a bit more, right?
Okay.
Yeah, like I couldn't carry it. Like I had my own mortgage, my own house, my own expenses, and plus that. And so he said, you know what, we're not going. We're just gonna let it fall apart. And then it did. Like, it was so close to the finish line, and it all fell apart. And everything was in my name, so all of them came after me. I couldn't afford to pay anything back.
Who came after you?
Oh, the creditors.
Okay,
right, the beds, the landlord, everybody.
Yeah.
And so I couldn't, and so I was like, I don't know what to do here. Like, I can't consolidate. This is going to take me forever to pay. So I decided to go bankrupt. And so I went bankrupt, and I lost everything. We gave up the house as well, and I felt so embarrassed and so like devastated that we moved to Ontario. I was like, I don't want to be here anymore. Everything here is going to keep reminding me of it, and I can't live my life. So let's get out of here. So we sell and we move to Ontario. We moved closer to our parents, and we live in an apartment there for like 3 years.
Roxy's parents.
Yeah, Roxy's parents, yeah. Which is crazy because at this point in my life, now I'm like depressed. Mostly because I wanted to get to here, to success.
Especially because at 30, you thought you were going to die, and you were trying to.
So it's like I'm working so hard to get here, and now everything's falling apart, right? Not only that, it's like I have a condition that's debilitating me. I've got bankruptcy, right? And
what was your marriage like initially? Because if you didn't,
and the marriage was like falling apart too. Like it was
because you didn't understand love, really.
No, not at all. It was never.
Didn't understand affection. Didn't understand communication.
Roxy would, if you ask her, she would say like our first few years of marriage were horrible.
Yeah.
Right. Our marriage has only gotten better over the few years. Right. It's like wine. It's just like it gets better, and it was horrible in the beginning. And yeah. So
you're in Ontario. You're depressed. You got this disease. You're bankrupt.
And it wasn't until years later, like now, when I start realizing, like I look back on it, I like going through freedom sessions too. What's helped me is that I've noticed my dad. I've done everything to impress him. I was like, I'm going to excel. I'm going to do the best. Hey, look, I did this. Hey, look, I did this. So it's like at the top, and I couldn't get him to show love or even any affection. And then here comes God, allowing me to get a debilitating disease, making me go bankrupt. Two super embarrassing things. Like, you never want to talk about shitting yourself or losing all your money, right? And he's like, I'm going to put you way down here. And so I get put way down there and depressed, and God says, I still love you, right? So it's like...
How does he tell you that?
Oh, now I feel it. Then I did not.
How did he tell you that then? Or like, what do you...
Now?
No, back then when you...
Back then he didn't. Back then I was like angry, like God hates me. Like he's causing pain. He's a horrible dad because I see it like my dad.
Yeah.
Right. He's only going to cause pain. Like, he doesn't care about me. But it's years later, like now, that I've noticed that even in those low moments, that's when I love you too. Right. Like, you don't have to be here. Like, at your lowest, I love you.
Yeah.
And then I didn't see it. Then I saw it. I was like, this is horrible.
Because your dad never loved you in low moments.
Exactly. And so now we move, and I'm devastated. I lost the business. we don't live in BC anymore, lost friends. My health is crap, right? We live in an apartment. We have a daughter now, just our oldest. She's like 6 months. And then I'm thinking like, yeah, this sucks. Like I hate my life. And it was like several days going by. I was like, I don't have any money. If anything happens to me, they lose it all. I hate my life. I hate this. And so then I become very suicidal. Like I was like, oh, but I can't do it. If I do it, I'm leaving with nothing, a dead husband, and they have nothing. Like all they're going to remember me for was that I lost everything before I died. So I was like, oh, what can I do to get more money? How can I do this? And then I thought about it. And then I remember seeing life insurance. And I was like, oh, if I get life insurance and I die, they provide money. So we get into that. We look into it. And I remember asking the guy, and we got like, at that time, it was like 750 or 800,000. It was a lot for us then. And I was like, yeah, that sounds great. And I asked the guy after he's like kind of going over everything. I was like, I just have a question. Like somewhere I heard, I think like a friend was asking like, what happens with suicide? Right? I'm just kind of like, how stupid can I be? You know, and he's like, oh, we do cover suicide as well. And I was like, oh, okay, I'll let him know. Okay. Right. And he's like, but only after 2 years. So you have to have it for 2 years. And if you do commit suicide, then we cover. Up until then we don't, because we feel like it was premeditated. And I was like, oh, that totally makes sense. Right. And I'm thinking like, oh shit, I have to wait 2 years.
Yeah.
And so that was on my mind. I was like, I can wait 2 years. I can do that. And so I did think that. I was like, in 2 years, I'll do it. I'll end it. Right. They'll get the money. Everything will work out fine.
Yeah.
Right. I'll end my life. And I remember just like looking forward to those 2 years. Those 2 years, I knew the date, and the time got closer and closer and closer.
So even in your marriage, you must have been super shut down. If that's what your thinking is.
Oh yeah, very shut down. And as we got closer to that date, I almost started forgetting it. Like I wasn't even paying attention, because we had a second daughter, and things were starting to pick up, or starting to be better. Like work was provided, and I was starting to actually manage things with my health. And I was like, oh, okay, things are actually looking up. And then the 2 year mark came. I didn't do anything. 3 year mark came, and I didn't, right? And I was like, I'm fine. I think I'm going to keep going, and I'll just kind of play it day by day.
Yeah.
If I have to pull the trigger, figuratively, literally, I'll do it when it's time. 3 years comes up, and my sister, Sonia, is getting married. And she says, oh, she invites us like, hey, do you guys want to come to the wedding? You're invited to come. And we're like, oh, that'd be great. We can go back to BC and see them again. You know, things have kind of mellowed out. So we do go. It's just her, Roxy, and I, and our daughter. So we go there, and the wedding was great. But then my dad, I remember, comes up to me, and he's like, hey, what happened with like the business and stuff? It's all behind us. Like, we're not affected by it, you know. We know what happened. It is what it is. It's fine. And
did you feel like it was your fault that it went?
100%. Okay. Yeah, I felt like it was on me. And it seemed like him telling me, it was kind of like, don't take it so hard on yourself. You know, it is your fault, but don't take it too hard. And I was like, okay. And he's like, look, we have our business took off like in the tile business. Like we're all working together and we're all doing way better. We have all these big contracts, and, you know, we have like over 300,000 in our account now, and we're doing really well. And I was like, whoa. And he's like, and I was thinking to bring you back onto the team, like bring you on, you come and help us grow it even more. And I feel like this would kind of mend our relationship too, and will be good for you and get you back on your feet. You can eventually move on too. And I was like, oh, this is his moment of like making things right. And I thought, this is great. So I talked to Roxy about it. She's like, I don't know, we have to pray about it. So we pray about it. And I asked for certain signs. They all come true. And I was like, oh, like all these things happen that I asked for. And so Roxy's like, oh my gosh, I guess we go. Right. And I was like, okay, we go. Let's tell your parents. And so we made that choice, and then we moved back. And so we moved back. We live in his second house. We started renting that out, and I started working from home there. And it was 2018.
Working from home?
Yeah, I started working from home, from the office.
Doing?
Like I was doing estimates, quotes, project managing from the office. Right, guys would bring me stuff, and I would build it. And
okay, that was the role. You weren't out.
Yeah, so I wasn't doing tiles anymore. Yeah. Like I was just doing all the management and stuff behind, coordinating.
Yeah.
And so I started doing that, and I started really. I like it at first, but then it becomes hard because our salary is so low. We barely have enough to get by, And it's like, pay these bills, pay this. And so Roxy's like stressing out, like, oh my gosh, we don't have enough money for this or that. And is there any way for them to pay you more? And I was like, I can ask. And we asked, and like, no, we'll probably do dividends at the end of the year. They kept saying dividends. We never got dividends. It was almost like a unicorn, right?
Yeah.
Wishful thinking. And so I kept saying, oh, they're going to give us dividends. Oh, they're going to, she's like, Nick, that's bullshit. They're not going to give us anything, right? Maybe it just asks for a higher salary. Never get that either. And then they pay themselves more by a legal way in the business. Basically, it's like, there's Mile IQ. So if you have your own vehicle and you drive it, your company can pay you for reimbursement. Yeah. And so like they would drive around to jobs, some of them together, but separate vehicles, right? And then some of them would drive into Vancouver, back into Abbotsford, back into Burnaby, back over here. So it's like multiple drives, and they would get paid for all the kilometers. And so they would have a salary, and yeah, my brother-in-law and others would have like 3,000, 4,000 extra a month just from driving around like crazy, which eventually he was able to pay off his whole vehicle in a year.
Yeah.
Right. And it still worked. And I'm thinking like, that's crazy. And so they did that.
And how did you find that out?
Oh, because it was always reported in the expenses and stuff. I could see
okay.
it. And I was like, oh my gosh, these guys are getting like so much money doing all this. And so I asked, hey, could I drive around to some of the jobs? Like I need to actually see these jobs, because they were like, no, I'll get it for you. I'll go there.
Yeah.
And so I was like, no, I need to actually see. So I'll go. So he goes, he'd come back. I'm like, hey, did you get anything? Oh, I forgot this. I forgot that. But here's what I got. Yeah, but I need this. I'll go tomorrow. Right. And it just drove me crazy. It's like, I think you're doing it on purpose now.
Yeah.
And so I couldn't actually drive. My salary was low. I knew what they were doing, and it was driving me insane. And I would argue with Roxy all the time. And she would be stressed out too. She was pregnant. It was summer. She was having a hard time. And it got to a point where she became suicidal. And I was like borderline again. Like I was just depressed. And I just, in an office, eating shitty food, getting fat, right? I didn't feel good. I was depressed. She was depressed. And we had this huge argument. And I remember her looking at me and she's like, Nick, I hate my life. I hate this life. I regret moving here. I regret everything. I don't know why. I feel like God lied. Something went wrong. I don't know. And I was like, I was like, just whatever, just drop it. Like, I don't have time for this. You never have time for me. I want to talk. I was like, just leave me alone. Like, I just can't deal with this right now. I have all this stuff to do. And she's like, Nick, I'm going to kill myself if we don't get out of this. And I looked at her and I said, then do it. Right? Just staring in the eyes saying to just do it. And obviously she didn't, right? Sorry, I'm just realizing now that that's exactly what my dad did. That one time I saw my mom crying and just taking off because she took off crying. And I slammed the door and I said, I don't give a shit. And I was just angry. Yeah, I'm just realizing I did exactly that. Yeah, that was hard. That was a hard time for us. We struggled a lot through our marriage then. I think divorce came up so many times. So many times to the point where it's like, you're immune to it. You know, you're like, whatever, let's just do it. Just get it done. Like, I'm tired of this. Like, we didn't sleep together. We didn't sleep in the same room. We didn't talk. We felt like we were just buddies, not even buddies, just taking care of a child. And yeah, it was hard. And then I think Roxy gave me the ultimatum, like, hey, I think it's over. Either you quit your job or this is over. And I was like, I can't quit. What am I going to do? What, I don't have any contractors. I don't know anybody. She's like, I don't care, Nick. Maybe have faith for once. And so I do. I tell them, hey, guys, what you're doing is illegal. It's legal, but it's unethical. I don't like it. You know, I argue with them and I tell them, hey, I can't do this. And I start picking holes in there and what they're doing, like illegal things like, hey, this is fishy here. Hey, this is fishy here. But they're all doing it. So it's all of them against me at that point. like we're allowed to commit all these sins but you. So I felt like the black sheep when I was like the white sheep, trying to correct everything, and they didn't like it. And so like, hey, we can't tell us to stop doing this. Kind of like politics, right? And so they start coming after me. And then my brother-in-law basically says to my dad, hey, it's him or me. Him or me. If he doesn't go, I go. Pick one. And I was like, no, we can fix this. No one needs to leave. He's like, no, I'm not doing this if this is how it's going to be. So he looks at my dad. He's like, it's him or me. And my dad's like, okay, let's just take a break. Let's cool off. So we cool off. We go home. I'm just angry. My dad then talks to me the next day. And he says, I think you should leave. You should quit. And I'm thinking like, you chose him over me. Not surprised at all. So I'm like, okay, that's fine. So I quit. And then I go back on some old papers and I realize like, oh, I have a buyout with them. And they owe me quite a bit of money. And I tell them like, you guys owe me quite a bit of money for the buyout and you guys should pay it. And they're all like, no, we're not giving you anything. There's nothing in the company. We're not worth anything. We can get it assessed. We can get it assessed to be worth 0. So you're worth nothing. It's worth nothing. I was like, no, I know what it's worth. You guys owe me. They didn't want to. I seek out a lawyer, get a lawyer involved, get him to draft up something. And I tell him, I'm going to sue you. This is the papers. I'm going to sue you for that. And they're like, what the F? You're suing your own family? I was like, yeah, because you guys are unjust. And I'm tired of this shit. And so they were surprised that I would even go and sue them. And so they later have a meeting, and I remember it was my younger brother who came up to me because the others didn't want to see me. And he gives me the check, and he goes, here's your buyout. You happy now? You know? And he's like, now you can leave. And I was like, whatever. And I leave. Step out, go my own way. And this happened in the summer, I think, of 2020. So we would have been like just beginning of COVID. So COVID was kind of starting. And so I was like, that's fine. So I didn't even want to see them anymore either. And COVID became the biggest blessing of our life. Oh, Lord, give us another COVID. I kept saying, like, let this go on forever. And he let it go on. And I enjoyed COVID. People were like, oh, that was the worst. I loved it. It was like, why can't most of us just live like that? Yeah, it was fantastic. I didn't have to see anybody, right? Isolation.
I should get a shirt made. It says Nick Zemora, social distancing since 1987.
Oh, yeah, definitely. Yeah. At my peak in 2020. Yeah. No, COVID was great. I wouldn't have to see anybody. People would be
So
like,
you quit. Did you go work? What did you go do for work?
yeah, so I started working by myself. I basically sent an email to everybody that I worked with, all the contractors, saying, I'm no longer working with this company. You guys are free to work with them. I'm no longer. I'm going to do it on my own. If you want to work with me, that's fine. If you want to work with them, that's fine. I'm not opposed to anything. So I thought I was just going to go and try to get my own. Quite a few of them, actually, to my surprise, were like, I want to work with you, Nick, not with them. Because I dealt with a lot of them myself. I was a lot of the management. I would rectify things. I would make sure scheduling. I dealt with them all the time. Anyways, so a lot of them actually came and worked with me. And I started making, first month already, I was like, whoa, I already made more than what I made. Second month and third month. And I remember in December, I was like, God, this is scary for me to do this, but I want to give. I don't want to just give 10%. I want to give more to where I feel very uncomfortable that what I'm giving is a little bit obnoxious and like it's going to hurt me.
Yeah.
And so I gave $5,000 to the church that month. I just gave it. And I was like.
And what was that? Was that like another earning to get God's favor sort of thing or what?
No, I wanted to see God work in my life, right? I wanted to see like, hey, I want to give. I want to start giving because I never gave. I was like, maybe I want to just give, but I want you to work in my life. I want to be more giving too, right? And I was like, if I give 5,000, I want it to hurt, right? Again, back to that pain. I want to actually feel pain here. And so I gave the 5,000 and man, did it hurt because I'm like Scrooge. Like when it comes to money, giving is very hard, right? And so I just gave it and then I regretted it. I was like, oh, that was so stupid. Why did I do that? Nothing's good of this, right? And so it's like all this regret comes in instead of like giving with a cheerful heart. Now it's a regretful heart. And I remember, and I mean, I'm not saying for everyone to do this, obviously, but I remember that month, it was like December. So I gave it like at the hardest time where it's like Christmas and, you know, a lot of people are not even working and jobs are like kind of stopping. And I got so much work that month. I think I got like $14,000 of work. And I was like, whoa, right? It just hit me. And God's like, go ahead and test me. Like, I'm greater than what you can think, right? But I was like, okay, but I'm not giving you 5,000 again. Right? Immediately I was like, I'm not doing that again.
And would you have had a relationship with Jesus at that time? Would you have been considered yourself a believer already? Or
Oh
what?
yeah. So I'm a believer. I mean, I got baptized at 19 or 18,
Okay.
right? And yeah, I was more on fire then than I am now, for sure. Like, I was just more driven, and there's a lot of, even like in my past, like a lot of things that I did out of faith that would just happen. And I was like, oh yeah, that's because you believe it happens. But yeah, it was, what was that? Sorry.
You were saying I lost track of myself now.
Yeah. So, I'm trying to think where we're at.
You had to, you had given money to,
Oh, right. Yeah.
and you'd given $5,000 and
Yes,
you wanted
that's
more
what it
faith.
was.
Yeah.
So I gave the money, and then, yeah, things started picking up better for me for work. Things started getting better and getting my own contracts. And then I started to see like God really working. I was like, oh, okay. Right. This is interesting. Like, I'm going to be taken care of. Right. I started seeing like, oh, he does take care.
And how was up until this time, the physical abuse, sexual abuse manifesting itself in how you were showing up? Like,
Oh, it doesn't at all. Like, I compartmentalize very well. I literally put all that so deep down into like 6-foot coffin.
but would you do you think you would have been, would you have considered yourself like an angry person at the time, a shut down person? Like it was still, I know it was buried, but it manifests itself in other ways.
Yeah. No, I the way I deal with stress is I isolate
Okay.
and anger. I don't lash out. My wife lashes out. She's more like the physical. You can see she's angry. If we got into a fight or an argument and we go to an outing or to an event, you can see it on her. You're like, something's wrong. On me, you're like, oh, nothing. Like, this guy's great. He's living a good life, right?
Yeah.
Just whoop, shut it off.
Yeah.
Right? Like, I could be literally thinking about shooting myself and then go to this event like, oh yeah, how you guys doing? Oh, this is great. Right? No one could see it on me. And she's not like that. Like, she wears it on her sleeve.
But maybe, okay, so you mentioned before you were like, but you were critical then, or more like judgmental, critical?
Yeah, I've always been very judgmental.
Okay, that would have been
just
still,
in general, yeah.
Okay.
But I don't know these words or these terms or these characters until like Freedom Session.
Yeah.
Or even like, drug of choice and all these things. That for me, it was just like, it's just life.
I'm fine.
No, it's true. And so it was around that time so Roxy she starts going to Freedom Sessions. So we were at Southside. And so Southside offered Freedom Sessions. And so she hears about it. She's like, oh my gosh, I need this. Because her life is pretty messed up too, like mine. She's got a pretty bad past. And so she's like, I need this. So she goes to the whole course, does it, and is always telling me about how great it is. Oh, this happened. Oh, Nick, you should do it. Oh, you go so deep into this. And I'm hearing it. And I was like, oh, this sounds horrible. I was like, why would I want to do that? Oh, I was like, and what, you sit with a bunch of women? I was like, are there guys? Oh yeah, the guys sit in a group. And I was like, that sounds so gay. Like, why? Like, do they hold hands too? Like, this is so stupid. She's like, no, it's really good. And I was like, I'm not going to talk about my feelings with a bunch of guys, right? Like, I'd rather be naked around them than talk about my feelings. That makes no sense. She's like, Nick, I really think you should. I was like, okay, I'll think about it. And then so she does it. And then when the next Freedom Session comes, the next round in 2024, she says, oh my gosh, Nick, you should sign up because Central's doing it and it's with Sardis as well. This is going to be a great time. And I was like, oh, that thing. And I was like, yeah, sure. Okay, sure. I just said it just to shut her up, basically. And then the time gets closer. Nick, did you fill out the application forms? And I was like, oh, no, I don't even have them. Okay, I'll print them out. I was like, put them on my desk. Put them around my desk. I get home from work. I sit on my desk, throw them off to the side, continue my work. She's like, did you fill them out? Oh, no, I'll fill them out later. I will. She said, okay, because today's the deadline. I was like, okay, I'll get it to you. I don't. I purposely don't. I don't even want to go.
Yeah.
So I don't do it. And then a few days later, you send it in to Gary? No. I forgot. I'm so sorry. I forgot. Shoot, I forgot. Okay, maybe next year I'll do it. That's my mentality.
Yeah.
She's like, oh, hell no. She's like, you're going now.
Yeah.
I was like, I can't. It's already started. She's like, okay, I'm contacting Gary. So she calls Gary and she asks, hey, can you take in one more guy? My husband, we really wanted to get in, but he missed the whole intro. And Gary's like, okay, yeah, I think we can let it go.
Yeah.
Why not? Let's bring him in. So she comes back. She's like, I filled it out, gave it to Gary. He said, you can start next week, even though you missed the first day. I'm like, damn it. Right? I was like, okay, fine.
Yeah.
So she's like, Nick, you need to do this. And I was like, you know what? I'm going to do this, but I'm doing this only for you. I was like, there's no way I'm doing this for me. I don't even care. I think this is stupid. I said, I'm going to do this because I want to show you that I can do the whole thing. I can get through it all. It won't affect me at all. Nothing will change. And you'll see how stupid your idea was. And I'm going to prove you wrong. And she's like, all right, fine. Right? And I was like, okay, good. So I went in with that intention. I'm just going to do this. Do whatever they need to do, homework, whatever they need to do, just get through it, and I'll be fine at the end of the road. And then I don't have to deal with it, and I can prove it wrong. Man, was I wrong, right? Going through that was crazy. Like, you sit with a bunch of guys, and I remember them all just like, oh, how you doing? And I'm just like, oh, it's so stupid. Why am I here? Oh, when is this done? I want to get out of here. And then it'd be over. I'm like, okay, good. Go back again. And then every Thursday, you just keep going back. And it got to the point where it was the going deeper, the first one. And like, you have to share everything, kind of like my whole past. And I'm thinking like, oh, that's really hard. I've only ever told Roxy this stuff. I've never told anybody else.
So you had told Roxy about your relationship with your dad and the sexual abuse?
Yeah. My parents don't even know. So if they literally listen to this, all of them would be like, what the hell? This happened? Right? Everyone would be like, even my sister wouldn't even know. Nobody knew. Until I literally like told my wife. That was the only person I ever told. Yeah. At like 22, 21. Yeah. And then
I'm assuming you told her and never talked about it again.
Oh yeah, I told her and I didn't want to talk about it ever again. Yeah. Right. And it never come up like, hey Nick, remember when? No, never. That's it. And then the next time I told it was at Freedom Session with a bunch of guys. And I remember when I was there, I was like, thank goodness I don't know any of these guys, because if I did, I would have been gone. Yeah. And so they're like, yeah, tell your story. And I was like, okay.
Didn't you say that? I think you told me one time, you told me that if you showed up at Freedom Session and there was anybody in your group that you knew, you were going to be gone.
Oh, yeah.
Or something like that.
100%. Yeah. If I know them, I'm not coming. I was like, I'm out. I remember even saying that before, too. I was like, if anybody's there that I know to Roxy, I was like, if I know any of them, I'm leaving. I'm never going back. And God provided nobody that I know. Right. So it worked out. And so that first one comes around. And so everyone's sharing. And so I remember Trevor went, and then Andre and others. And they're like, and they purposely left me till last or something. I don't know why I was the last one. Maybe it was like to agonize me or something. I wanted to just get it over with. But no, they saved me till the end. And so they're like, all right, Nick, you're up. And so literally how I have it written out, I was just like, okay, there's no way I'm going to just remember all this. So I just looked at my phone and I'm like, okay, I was born in Romania. And I just started going through it, just reading it. And I thought it was going to be fine because I read it at home. And I was like, okay, I'm good. And then I start reading it to them. And as I'm reading it out loud, because at home I read it in my mind, and then I'm reading it out loud, so I'm hearing it again. And I'm hearing it, I'm getting through all this stuff. And I just start crying, and I can't stop. And then I look up, and they're all like teary-eyed. And then I'm like, I look back down, I was like, don't look at them, right? And I was like, get your shit together, be a man. Like, what are you doing, right? You're falling apart. It's embarrassing. And I was like, oh, breathe. Okay, there's such a long pause. This feels like eternity, right? They're all like, hurry up, you idiot, get going, right? I'm like, oh, come on. And then I continue again, and then I get to other points again. And I was like, oh, this is never going to end, is it? And I get through it all, and I say it. And I look up, and they're like all like kind of crying too. And going home that day, it felt the best. I was like, wow. That felt crazy that I could just get that off my chest and just say it. And I literally thought all of them would be like, dude, that's effed up. Like, that's gross, or that's stupid. Like, oh. Right. And they're all just like, they would hug me. And I was like, don't do that. Please don't do that. Right. Don't touch me. Just leave me alone, kind of thing. Right. And it was incredible. And going through it all, it was the first time I did it. I started then, it was a lot of like God and father comparisons. Yeah. Right. And so that's when I started learning more about my dad, and dad and son relationship, God and son relationship. And there was so much there that I just couldn't understand. And it was a lot of me really hating my dad, right? Going through all the whole process. Because it's like reminding me, it wasn't the sexual abuse that angered me. None of that did. It was like this relationship with my dad and me always trying to make him happy, but nothing ever did. And it was like that the whole time through Freedom Sessions. Like I was like, really struggling with that. And it's like forgiveness was the hardest part. Literally came back from Mexico, and then we get into forgiveness, and it's talking about like forgiving those who hurt you. And I was like, I can't do this, right? It's like, okay, this person I forgive, the person who did that to me, I forgive this, I forgive. But my dad, why did he do that? Right? Why? A father should not do that to his son, right? Like even the Bible says, even as fathers, you wouldn't give snakes to your kids if they need food. And it's like, yeah, he gave me emotional snakes.
Yeah.
Why would he do that? Right? I was like, it just didn't click. And so it's like, that's who God the Father is too. He's just giving me all these snakes. And I was like, and I couldn't understand it. And then
We're actually having these debates with you a little bit.
Oh, for sure.
'Cause I think that's when kind of, or maybe we started hanging out a little bit later than that, but even just about like that God is good and that he cares and he's loving. And yeah, I remember we'd just go back and forth.
Yeah, just argue about it. And I was like, well, I know the God of the Old Testament was like, you know, and you're like, oh, God of the New. And I was like, well, I prefer the God of the Old, right? If we can just strike him dead, hurrah.
Yeah, let's go.
Let's go. Yeah. And
So you're doing the forgiveness work?
Yeah, I did all the forgiveness and it was so difficult. And I kind of get through it all. And then I remember.
So like you have to, in the program, you write down the ways that people have hurt you, and then there's specific forgiveness prayer.
Yeah, the Shields inventory.
Do you remember that? Forgiving your dad?
Yeah. And I remember doing that and then really praying about it because that was the hardest one for me. And really praying about it. I was like, he was stressed. It's like I was making excuses for him. He was stressed out. Oh, he had 7 kids. Oh, he had this. I get it. You know, I would be like that too. And it's like, wait, would I? Because I'm stressed out sometimes. I would never punch my kid in the gut, right? Like my son just recently getting an argument, the youngest, threw a wooden sword at one of his daughters because he was, one of his sisters because he was angry and he missed and he hit the window, right? And he broke the window, the one in front of our house. And so I come home, he's like, Daddy, I'm so sorry, right? And so I'm thinking like, I would never punch him in the gut because he broke a window, right? And he was like, I don't know, Daddy. And I was like, well, should there be some kind of payment for this? Like, I feel like, how are we going to pay for this now? And he's like, I don't know. And I was like, let me tell you a story. And so I sit him down and then even my daughter's there and my wife. And I was like, when I was young and I jumped on the bed, my dad came in, he was angry and he punched me right in the stomach and I lost my breath and I couldn't breathe and I was crying and he told me to just cut it out and grow up. And that was from jumping on the bed. I was like, but you broke a window. So by my dad's way of teaching, what should I do? Right? And he's like confused. I was like, I think by my dad's standard, I should cut off your hand, right? And he's like, I was like, but thank goodness it's not my dad who's raising you, it's me. And I was like, don't worry, we're going to get it repaired, buddy. You're going to pay with it somehow, like by doing chores. It's not that big of a deal. It's fine. Yeah. I gave him a hug and that was it, right? And my wife looks at me, she's like, you're a retard. Like, why are you saying that, right? I'm just like, right? Like, come on. He's like 5 years old. But, you know, that's my dark humor, right? It's just, I do a lot of dark humor. And I've heard you say dark humor and I would laugh and everyone's kind of like clenching their butt cheeks like, oh, how do you laugh at that? And I'm just like giggling. But, you know, that's as people
it's a coping mechanism.
Yeah, it's stupid, but it's sometimes how I cope just to, because the tension's too high and it makes me feel comfortable. Like, hey, let's release some of this tension. Let's laugh at this, even though it's so dark.
Yeah, I get it.
But anyways, going back to freedom sessions and the forgiveness. So I did pray a lot about the freedom, about the forgiveness. And it was hard because while I was going through the whole thing, it was always this battle between my dad and I. And I would literally have dreams that was recurring constantly. It was me and my dad, and we were either fighting or killing each other. I would go and kill him. He would come after me, trying to kill me. There was always anger. There was always fights.
Like every weekly you would have dreams like this?
Oh, it was so often. And I would wake up just like breathing, like, oh, jeez. Okay.
Did you shut down more the first time you did it? Because like I know that's what happened to me because you're actually talking about stuff that you've...
It was very hard the first time, definitely. And then the second time for sure. And it was a lot of shutting down. I remember not even sharing a lot of those stuff with the guys. Like I would have these things or problems going on. I never shared. I didn't want to. I was like, I just want to get through this and tell Roxy that I did it. Yeah. And at this point, it's like, man, I'm already like being ripped apart. I just want to get out of this. I wanted it to end. It was so hard. And then the dreams were so reoccurring. And then it became even like sexual too. Like some of them were like sexualizing me, right? Like seeing people walking around naked, right? And then people coming after me, trying to kill me killing my dad. It was nonstop, like in the most grotesque ways. It felt so real. I would wake up just like sweating and like hyperventilating. And it was like that the whole time while I'm going through freedom session. And it wasn't until like the forgiveness and near the end where I was really praying and like, Lord, just help me forgive him. Like I know what he did wasn't right. and I know I wouldn't do that. We all make mistakes, and you died for him like you died for me. You forgave him like you forgave me. Help me forgive him, you know, and help me see that as a father, he wasn't a great father, but you as a father are what I need. And I would continuously pray that. And it wasn't until the very end of Freedom Sessions that I had a first dream that brought me to tears, and I woke up crying. And it wasn't because of him doing anything like bad. What it was him and I in a field, and it was sunny. And it's so hard to see like a sunny day in a dream, right? It's always like, for me, it's always dark.
Yeah, you hate sun.
Yeah, and I hate the sun too. But no, let's make it sunny. And it was sunny. It was in a field. And I remember I was there with my dad. It was just me and my dad. And I was kind of younger. And he was like, hey, Nick, go far, go far. I was like, what? He's like, go far. And I started running. And he'd throw like a ball at me. And I'd catch it. And then we'd run around. And I remember falling down on the grass. They were like lying next to each other. We're just giggling and just laughing. And yeah, we were like just having a good time. It felt so... It didn't feel real, but it felt so real. And then at the end, he just comes up to me and just gives me this big hug. And he says, Nick, I love you so much.
Had you already done the forgiveness work?
Yeah. Yeah, no, it felt so real. And I woke up just crying. And it was like God saying, let me be that father. He said, because you're never going to get that one. The one you know here, the one you see here, you're never going to get him. It's never going to happen. And this is what you do. Move on. Forgive. Move on. And so I said, yeah. Yeah, I need that. And so
what are the emotions right now that you're feeling?
Oh man. It's just, yeah, it's
It hurt.
time. It hurts because it's time that I missed, time that I never got, time I'll never get. It's him never owning it up, him probably never owning it up. Him saying, because I remember him always telling me that, oh, it was hard, 4 kids, I was always working, I was stressed out, you know. I'm surprised you haven't driven me to the grave or your mom to the grave. And it was always, you know, life was always tough. And I get it. Life is shitty. Life is hard. Right? And it was always put on us. This is why I couldn't give you hugs. This is why I couldn't love you. This is what you made it hard. You made it hard for us. And you're like, yeah, I made it hard. But as a kid, you're like, yeah, it was my fault. I'm the one who screwed it all up. And as you get older and you have your own kids, you think, no, I would never do that. Right? I can't. Could you imagine you doing that to Malachi or Peter, being like, get away from me, little shit. Like, I don't love you. Right? It's so different. I don't know. And that's what I couldn't forgive him for. Right? Because it's like, you never own that up. But I do. I forgive him because he's a human. There's like these 3 stages of life. You idolize somebody, then you demonize them, and then you humanize them. I idolized my dad when he was younger, thinking he's like Superman. Nothing can kill him. Nothing can stop him. I have to do everything to be at his level, to impress him. Became older. I demonized him. I hated him. I wanted him dead. I couldn't stand him. Thought he's the worst, right? I thought I never could make him happy. Nothing makes him happy. Screw him. And Freedom Session helped me humanize him. Helped me realize he's shitty like you. He's shitty like all of us. Right? And he's got his problems. And maybe had someone talk to him. Maybe things could have been better. And you just realize that later, like, yeah, it is what it is, right? And that's kind of what I feel like, that I'll never have that back. But God was just saying, you're not going to get it back. Stop living that life thinking you're going to get that. You're not. All right? That's over.
Yeah. I remember actually thinking something similar myself. I did EMDR trauma therapy earlier this year, and I realized that I was kind of always hoping that my childhood would have been different,
Yeah.
but hoping that something in the past changes
Yeah.
is insane
Yeah. Very.
because the past can't change.
You can't. Yeah. And you hold on to it for so long.
Yeah, and it's already lost. And it was the first time I kind of compared it as a loss, like losing my daughter,
Yeah.
where it was just like, oh, it's the same. It's like one of those things that I can't change. And I was just trying somehow in a weird backwards way, trying to undo it, or that it wouldn't be true.
Yeah.
But coming to an acceptance of it is pretty important.
It's hard because you hold on to it thinking things can change, or,
Yeah.
like, oh, I don't want to. But that's what holds you back from finding peace, holds you back from finding freedom, is that you hold on to this past thinking it could get better. It's just this false hope, right? It's that cognitive dissonance again. You're thinking like, this could be true.
Yeah.
I'm just going to get past this fog. There's in the more fog. Oh, I'm in a tunnel. You just keep going thinking it will be better. Like, I'll get there, and then my dad will be like, oh, I'm so sorry for your past. But you have to realize, no, that's not going to happen.
Yeah.
Just cut it off.
Yeah.
And you need to move on because it lives rent free in your mind, in your soul, in your life. And
So you do that. You have the dream after the forgiveness.
yeah, and it was near the end of Freedom Session, and so we wrapped things up with Freedom Sessions as well that year. And now I'm broken. Like, I'm just going through so much emotional wreckage. Like,
Yeah.
I've never expressed myself emotionally, ever. Right. So it's like me bringing up all this baggage with me for the first time, and just like, oh yeah, here we go.
Mm-hmm.
Right. And I just can't even deal with it. It's just too much. Right. And so I'm broken down, and I just can't deal with it. And the guy's like, hey, it's grad on this day. Everyone has to give a bit of a testimony of what changed you, what you noticed from start to finish. And I'm thinking, I don't want to go to grad. I can't do this. Right. I was like, I can't. I don't want to. And so I tell Trevor, I was like, Trevor, I'm not coming to grad. And he's like, yeah, the hell you are. I was like, no, I'm not. I don't want to come. He's like, Nick, you should come. Everyone wants you to come. I was like, well, screw everybody. I don't care about everybody. I was like, I don't want to do this. And he's like, are you doing this for you or for God? I was like, hey, I'm doing this for me. Just leave me alone. I do not want to do this. Like, I can't deal with this. Right? Like, I'm having a meltdown here. And then Roxy's like, Nick, you need to do this. And everyone's like, hey, you need to do this. The Spirit's like, hey, we need to do this. And it's like back to that drive on the highway. Stop. And it's like, everyone just get the F out of my mind. Leave me alone. Like, can't I just be alone?
Yeah.
Right? Back to isolation right away. Like, that's the only thing I felt comfort. When I was young, I isolated. Through my teens, I isolated. I pulled away. Right? In my
You're
my
pretty good at
years, and I'm very good at it. I'm an expert at isolation. I should write a book on isolation.
Yeah. Teach
how
a
to
class.
do it. I should. We need another COVID.
Yeah.
And yeah, I pulled away. I didn't want to do it, and I was like, I'm not doing it. I made my mind up. I was like, I'm not doing it. I'm not doing it.
Yeah.
And Trevor's like, I'm really disappointed. I really think you should do this. He's like, if not for you, do it for God. Do it for the people that will come and hear your story. And I was like, my story won't change anybody's life. Right? And I still think that to this day. I do. It's like, it won't. And it probably won't. I don't really care. Right now, I'm just like, hey, I'm doing this because I'm being obedient. Right? And so I was like, I'm not doing it. Again, I wasn't obedient. I didn't want to do it. And it wasn't until, as the days got closer, the voices, the Spirit just got louder. And it's like, you need to do this. Do it, because in your weakness, I am strengthened, right? And I was like, I don't want to do this. And I was like, fine, I'll do it. I'll do it. So then I tell Trevor, I was like, Trevor, I'll do it. But not because of me, because of God.
Yeah.
I don't want to be there. Kind of what I told you too. I'll do this, but not because of me. I don't want to do this.
Yeah.
And I regret every moment of coming here, but you know what? This is just for God. So I do it, and I go there, and there's so many people. Like, I mean, for me, it felt like so many people. It's probably 50 people, but that's more than one, and that's enough.
Yeah.
And so I go up there and I tell my story, and I'm thinking, like, I'm just going to read it really fast. I've already read it once to the guys. I'm going to be fine this time. I'm not going to cry. I'm okay. I got this. Boom. Start reading it, looking up. People are just like, oh, okay. Make a few jokes. Say a few dumb stuff here and there. Just,
Yeah.
cut the tension. And that's more for me, to cut my tension, to just kind of relax me. And so then I'm getting into it, and then I start getting to some of those harder parts. I start talking about it, and I'm just like, oh, I could just feel it. And so I start to talk slower, just to catch my breath. And then I just stop. And I start like shaking and cracking, and I'm like, don't do this, you idiot. Don't do this. Right? I was just like, cut it out. You got this. You got this. Be a man. And it's like, just let it go. I was like, no, just let it go. No. Right? I'm just fighting with myself. And it's like, I'm quiet what seems like an eternity. And then I just start saying it and I start crying and I can't do it. And then I'm crying and I was like, everyone's probably like looking at me like, what an idiot. And I look up and everyone's teary. Right? I was like, I can't do this. And so then I just catch myself quickly and I keep going. And I get through it all. And it's hard. It's hard just bringing it up a lot of times. It does make it harder, I guess, the more and more you talk about it. But for me, it's like I'm always reminded of more things. Like the Twix thing, that was just recent that it came up, right? Where I made that declaration. And that just made me cry. Once I heard that, I was like falling apart again. And I was like, man, how many more of these am I going to start remembering? Like little moments, right? At first, it was very broad. And there's more and more and more. And it's just becoming very detailed. Yeah. And it's becoming harder, right? To just remember a lot of these things. Yeah. And it always goes back to God. I'm always like, hey, I know why you did this, you know? I did make a simple, stupid prayer. Now I want that thorn gone. I'll probably have it for life, and that's fine, right? But
well, I think the talking about it and the forgiveness work allows the most amount of peace around it, not being able to change it.
Yeah.
Because we can't change it.
Yeah.
But
it's true.
But yeah.
And then doing it the second time, I became a facilitator. Yeah. And then that one, the first one was me and my dad. The second one was me and God, right? It was now God as a father. I struggle with that so hard because I was like, I don't see you like this. How do I see you like this? And it pushed me so hard to really see him as a loving God, right? And I remember in our groups, I would argue with the guys like, well, how do you see God like this? Well, if you're sinning so much, you come here and you confess, and then you go back and you do it again. So how do you actually love God if you're still doing it, right? Like if you cared, you'd stop, wouldn't you? Confess and repent. What are you doing? You're kind of a piece of shit. And I would just tell them that, right? And this is me because I was getting angry. My own anger was in me, like with God, but I was just like loading it on them. And one of the guys in our group, I remember him like struggling with so much. And I said, I think you hate yourself, right? I think you don't love yourself. And it was almost like me talking to myself, but I was talking to him and I was just telling him everything, right? And you see yourself as a loser. And this is why you're doing this. And this is why you're doing that. And maybe you should stop doing this because then if not, she's going to leave you. And so he's just like taking it and just like puts his head down and kind of gets teary-eyed. And I'm thinking, man, I just like ruined this guy. And there was days I unloaded on the guys so bad. Like I would get angry at them. And I was like, I don't think any of them are coming next week. But a part of me felt like, I hope they don't. Because I didn't want to deal with them anymore, right? And I was like, I hope they don't come back. I hope they stay home, right? And I was just really angry, just kind of going through it. And they always came back. And I remember that one guy, he came back and he said, Nick, I stayed home the whole week. I didn't even work. I couldn't work. I felt sick to my stomach. I puked. I couldn't eat. I was in my Bible reading all the day. Look, I journaled. Look how much I journaled. He had like pages. He's like, I cried every day. He's like, what you said hit me so hard. And I couldn't get over it. And he's like, man, I just don't know what to do. And I'm thinking, what? Like I was thinking you're gonna stay home, but here he is, like
you were hoping at Jonah.
Yeah, I don't know what I did. I was like
you don't want him to repent.
Yeah, and so I'm thinking like, what's going on? And so the guy stuck, and I think we were the only group. I mean, I'm not trying to boast or anything, or it's me. It's not me. I didn't do anything. That was me being me. I was angry at some points, and I just lashed out. And honestly, I wanted the guys to be gone so I could just come there and just be me and the facilitator and be like, all right, let's call it a day. Let's go home. Yeah. But it was never that. It was always the guys showing up. And we were the only group to the very end that had all our guys. None of them dropped out, right? And they all stuck around. And I was surprised every single day. And so, yeah, Freedom Session is... And
so that second year you said forgiving God. Like what was that like, forgiving God and that relationship?
Mostly me being angry at him. Right, for all these problems.
And you obviously have nothing you have to forgive God for, but because he's perfect. But
because the first year I wasn't forgiving God because I feel like I can't forgive God. He's God. What he did is, it meant, it is what it is. I can't forgive him. That makes no sense. I'll forgive my dad. And that was a struggle. And then going through the second time around, I was like, I need to forgive God. I think I do, even though there's nothing to forgive him for. It's forgive him
for the things that you have said are his
Yeah,
faults.
yeah.
Yeah.
It's more like he's forgiven me, but I feel like I should still forgive, even though he doesn't need to be forgiven, but I should. And it was me basically lashing out on him all the time, just like disobeying. I don't want to do that.
Yeah.
Like going through freedom session is the only time when I go through is when I hear God like mentally speak to me constantly. Going through it, it's always speaking to me about things to do. Hey, I want to do this. Hey, I want to pull you through this. And praying when I was younger that, hey, pull me through fire, right? When you have metal and you refine metal and you want it to be pure, you melt it. And you melt it and you get the purities.
And you
then
beat it.
And you beat it. And then you melt it and you beat it and you melt it until you get that pure substance out of it. And that was me. I was constantly getting beaten and melted and beaten and melted. And God's like, I want you to be humbled. I don't want you to think you need to be perfect. I want you to pull you down here to where you feel like nothing matters but me. And it was so hard to get me there because I was like angry with him. I was like, you did this to me. You took this from me.
Yeah.
You did that. Why do I even deserve life? Why do I need to be here? Nobody loves me. I don't care, right? Nothing. What is love? My wife would always say, I love you. I'm like, okay, bye. Right? And then she's like, I love you. Me, yeah, okay. And I was like, I just never say I love you because I never understood what does love even mean, right? It's just a word.
And where are you there? Where are you at on that now?
Oh, definitely a huge improvement. Yeah. I tell her I love you.
What about loving yourself?
That was also this freedom session, like the second one. It was a lot about God and myself. Right.
So you felt like you forgave yourself more or in deeper ways
a
this
lot
time?
More. Yeah, a lot more. Yeah. And it was me more connecting, saying, I need to just listen more and obey. And I think that's why after I finished it, it was a lot of like, hey, share your message. Go ahead. But use it for my purpose. And I was like, all right, I'll do it for freedom session. I'll do it as a promotional.
Yeah.
I'll do it as like, hey.
So what's the benefit? Because you talked about a lot of like the hard stuff of doing freedom session and like the forgiving work, but what's been the benefit in forgiving yourself, your dad, God, the abuser that sexually abused you?
It does. A lot of it doesn't bother me anymore. It doesn't live that rent free. It doesn't, get to me. Right. I go up to my parents now and I see them a lot, even my brother-in-law and people who screwed me over. I can talk with them. Right. I'm less triggered. I'm more calm, more forgiving. I look at them and I'm like, I feel bad. I feel bad for them. I feel bad that he had to do that. And I was like, and I look at him and I can see it in his eyes that he feels bad too. And it's like, I love him. And he'll never know what it feels like to have that kind of peace.
Yeah. And before this, before that freedom session, were you seeing your family at all?
Not often.
Okay.
No. Especially the first one, no, not often.
Yeah.
It was just holidays like Christmas, Thanksgiving.
Yeah.
And what other benefits have you seen? Just overall, like happier, just less isolationist?
My relationship has gone a lot better.
Like, why is it worth it? Because someone listening,
so there's drugs of choice, right? So you kind of know the drugs of choice. So I know isolation's mine. Up until that point, I didn't even know what isolation. That it was a characteristic. I just like pulled away, leave me alone. I feel good.
Yeah.
But now it's like you can identify it, and so you see these triggers, you see these identifications. You're like, oh, I'm doing that again, and so I have to find myself like, no, don't do that. Come over here, spend time with your family. Hey, do this. Be more interactive, right? You're not a piece of shit. You know, you might feel like that. You might be having a hard day, right? Or if Roxy's lashing out or she's angry, I have to kind of come from a more peace, calming, like, hey, what's going on?
Yeah.
So now we'll sit and we'll talk about our problems. Before it's like, I didn't want to talk. Like, no, just put it on, water on the bridge. Just leave it alone. I don't want to talk about this.
And so for someone listening that's been sexually abused or beat or has something in their background that they've ever dealt with or talked about, well, why do freedom session? Like, why is it worth it? Like, why not just keep it buried? Yeah. It's easier. Then you don't have to like.
You can. I'm not going to say don't. You can do that, right? If you feel comfortable doing that and you get by, go ahead. But there's real freedom in just coming out, right? And bringing it to light, because where there's darkness, God says if he brings a light, right, all sin is then, you see the light on everything, and he shines over everything and cleans it all up. And so if like you don't want to bring it to light, it's going to sit in darkness. It's going to sit deep down in you, right? And it's always going to be something that's causing you to do something. And going there, it's nice to see that there's a group of guys that are just as messed up or more messed up too.
And just so anybody listening, this is a group of 4 or 5 guys. It's not.
It could be one up. Yeah, we had like 7 or 8. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, 8 people. But yeah, it's a group of guys, and you do the homework, and you reflect, and then you talk about it. And I mean, right? But I mean, for everybody listening, it's a great way to not only dig up your past, but learn to forgive, learn to love, learn to find these triggers, right? Put things behind you, make amends. There's so many. And the course it's hard. It's not easy. I'm not going to say, hey, it's simple, right? If you have a lot. One thing I remember talking to one of the pastors at Central, and I was talking to him about me going through Freedom Session. He was like, wow, that's really impressive. And I said, you know what I don't understand is why is it not a prerequisite for pastors or people in the church to do Freedom Session? And he looks at me and he's like, that's actually a good idea. And I was like, no, I'm being serious. I think it should be our prerequisite. I think all of you should do it. And then you should do it again. Because there's nothing like breaking down amongst a bunch of other people.
Oh, yeah, 100%.
Especially if you're a pastor.
Yeah.
And you break down about what you're struggling with, right? That humbling experience will make you so much better of a pastor.
Oh, yeah.
You don't care about the people, the numbers. All you care is about God's word.
Yeah.
And you will preach
and souls.
it. And souls. You will preach it to the point where you don't even care if it's hurting someone's feeling. You're preaching God's word. Yeah. This is what needs to be spoken. And that's what it does. It'll change you. It'll open you up to him more.
That's what I think believing in the gospel really actually means, because that's when you can't help yourself. Like I was thinking about myself in the podcast recently, and I was like, I'm kind of like a Jesus freak. Like, and I just love talking about the gospel and grace. Like, I didn't randomly decide to go do that. Like, I don't have to go do that.
You're not forcing it. Yeah.
No, I love it. Genuinely love it. But it's having understood it myself. That allows for that. Yeah. Versus some like just, verbalizing some technical terms or,
exactly.
completely separated from it. Yeah. You're doing this, and this is going to get shared publicly. Your family will most likely watch it or parts of it.
Well, my wife family or my
your family,
my first, I don't know if they will.
If they do, or like there's definitely a chance they do, but you're still willing to be here and share it. How do you process that? How did you think through that?
I didn't want to give names to certain people to hurt them, right? Or I didn't want to do that. Obviously, my father's my father. I can't hide that and be like, oh, some guy who always cares for me, who's bringing in the money, right?
Yeah.
That's one of those things you have to say.
I'm 50% him.
Yeah, I'm 50%. Yeah. Took care of me, married to my mom. I can't, I have to say it's my dad, right? So people will know my dad if people know me.
Yeah, fair enough.
But, I'm not saying go after him or anything. No,
of course not. That's what forgiveness is.
I get along with him now, and we've done better. If he sees this, he'll probably have no idea about any of this, but I'm almost certain he won't.
There was one story you told me half a year ago where you said you went up to your dad at a barbecue and he was cooking burgers. Can you share that?
Yeah, so that was during Freedom Session. It was during the forgiveness part. And
the first time, right?
Yeah, and this is where we went up. I think it was Father's Day. And so they held a huge barbecue thing, and so we went up there for Father's Day. And remember, everyone's just kind of hanging around. So my family's very awkward. Like, everyone just kind of like, no one's like, hey, how you guys doing? It's always like, hey. And everyone just kind of like sits in their own spots. And sometimes you'll talk. It's the most awkward thing ever, hanging out with my family. And so then I get there, and I'm just like, hey, how you guys doing? Hey, how you doing? How you doing? Talking to Sonia's husband, Steven, and how you doing? And then I see my dad, and he's off to the side by the barbecue, and he's doing the barbecue. Nobody's there with him. No one's like, hey, Dad, let me help you with the barbecue. So I see him, and I'm just like, it's like, hey, go over to him and give him a hug. And I was like, oh, hell no. Right? And so it's like, no, go say hi. And I was like, oh. And I kept fighting. I was like, fine, I'll go do it. Right? I'll be obedient. So I go, and I'm like, hey, how's it going, Dad? And happy Father's Day. And he's like, oh, thank you. And then I was like, I just go and I'm like, happy Father's Day. And I just give him this hug, right? And just kind of hug him. And then I can feel him just like, hold on harder, right? Like, it's not just like a tap. It's like he holds and then he just kind of grabs a bit harder. And I'm just like, oh, what the heck, right? And I just kind of tap him. And then I let go, but he's still holding on. And I was like, oh, this is awkward, right? And so then I'm like, okay. Like, I'm tapping out, like, hey, this is enough. And then he pulls away. And I was like, this is awkward. This feels really weird, right? And then I look at him.
I like this tapping out thing for physical touch. I'm very much the same way. We need to tap outside for like
we're good. We're good. It's enough. But I pulled away after, and I was like, and I realized why he was holding on, because his eyes were getting teary-eyed.
Mm.
And I think he's like, get your shit together. Don't fall apart. Don't fall apart. Right? And it's like your son's hugging you. Why are you falling apart? But there's so much brokenness in him, right? There's so much hurt that no one there hugged him. No one said anything to him. I was the first one to go and hug him. He's probably like, this is the one that I beat the most. I don't know what went through his mind, but in that moment, he was very hurt. Like you could feel it. And he was holding on because he didn't want to show it. And so I tapped out because I thought, this is awkward. I can't be here any longer, right? And so I pull away and I could see it. And he's like, yeah, it's going good. It's going good, right? And then he just turns away quickly and starts doing the barbecue. And it's like, man, this is where I picked it up, right? I see it so well. And that was a huge, such a simple thing to hug your dad. But for me, it's such a milestone, such a huge thing that changed me so much.
Yeah.
Yeah, in that moment, just be obedient and do this.
Do this thing, yeah.
So,
anything else specifically that you feel you want to share?
No, I say I hope nobody listens to this for my sake. I really do.
Next year after Freedom Sessions, he'll be like, I understand why people would listen on it instead of me.
But mentally, in my own demented brain, I'm like, hopefully nobody listens. Hopefully just Roxy listens to it, and she's like, oh, that's my husband. Okay, he got through it, and nobody else does. But I think for Freedom Session, for God's sake, I hope it reaches a lot. Yeah, and that a lot of people actually do join, and find freedom. Yeah. It's a great thing. I used to think it was gay, but now it's gay in a different way. It's a happy gay. It's joyful. It's a finding experience. Yeah, it's a great thing.
Well, it's a huge privilege for me to be able to facilitate you sharing it, and I agree. Having done Freedom Session a bunch of times myself, that it's I really hope that people do it and give it a chance.
I do too. Yeah.
If anybody has questions, they can reach out to you. Because this is also the Nitty Gritty Tiles guy.
Great. Makes it even worse.
So if you need good tile work done, I just wanted to plug that a little bit.
To get into that.
Here, and he made a sweet board game, but maybe that'll be a different time.
That'll be advertised another time, right?
Yeah. But yeah, thank you so much. And for anybody listening, Freedom Session is starting in September here in BC. I can actually put a link at the top of the description of this of this video, so you can click that, and I'll try to find the link for the sign up for Southern Alberta as well. I know there's a lot of listeners there, but you can go to their website, and if you're not listening from those areas, you can sign up.
Wonderful.
All the different areas. So, I feel it's appropriate to close in prayer.
Yeah.
Do you want to do it, or do you want me to do it?
You can do it.
Okay. Lord Jesus, thank you for your grace and your mercy that was on bright display today here in Nick's story. It is obviously just some really heavy, hard things, which I know will bring up a lot of memories for other people as well that have experienced similar things. And I thank you, though, that through Freedom Session, through your word, being obedient to it, Lord, there is freedom and there is forgiveness. So I pray for anybody listening that doesn't yet know you, Lord, that still lives for themselves, for sin and Satan, and is lost, and that you, Lord, would open their eyes to see that you are the answer, you are the Savior, and that you soon will be coming back to make all things new, and that we can live with hope, and that we can have peace in our hearts. And ask for all the believers listening, Lord, just because you're a believer doesn't mean you got everything together, by no means at all, or there's not brokenness or hurt. And I ask that you would just come with your spirit with more power and work a revival in the church, or that people would be more on fire for you and know why we're actually here on this earth, and to put you first. Bless Nick. Thank you for his willingness to share today, Lord, and also just in the hours and days that follow. It's kind of like I'm reflecting, having shared my own story a bunch of times before myself. You think about all the things you wished you would have said or didn't say, and all the other stuff. Would you just give him and his family peace? Thank you. Bless Freedom Session, Lord, and thank you for Ken, Dick, and the stuff that he's done and putting that program on, and that you continue to use it to help a lot of people. Thank you again for your grace, your mercy. In your name I pray. Amen.
Amen. Thanks, Kyle.
Thank you. Thank you guys for listening. Hope you enjoy that. If you did, share it with somebody, or leave a comment, subscribe to the channel. That's always super appreciated. If you have any guest suggestions or anybody else you think I should interview, feel free to send it over my way. Also, yeah, I think that's it. So thank you very much. Thanks, Nick.
All right. Thank you.
Peace.
All right.